All right, let's see if this one starts up.
Of our society and economy and how digital technology is so pervasive. There was
Starting.
This one stat, because we are talking about the past a bit. In 1992, when I joined the company, the total
All right, there we go.
of
Okay,
internet
we are online now, Cecil.
This is
Are we really on now, or are we?
Yeah, we are really online.
Okay, cool.
and now,
Although we'll see if I'm able to
second, we have
keep it going.
17.5 million times that.
I bumped up the
In fact, 90% of
bit
all the
rate
data
pretty high.
has been generated in
Okay.
the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'm kind of just on the
Car
Twitters,
is going to generate
looking
something
at
like
looking at what everybody's saying.
per second. And by 2020, it's estimated that there is going to be 25 billion intelligent devices.
I'm gonna bump
So
my
whether
bit rate
it's
down a bit.
precision medicine or precision agriculture, whether it's digital media or the industrial internet, the opportunity
Wow. Did you see this picture of Satya Nadella?
to have broad,
No.
deep impact.
He just posted this early picture.
To me,
It says initiating stream.
the choices we as developers
Oh,
make
you restarting the stream again?
are going to
Yeah.
have pretty profound implications.
So tomorrow we're gonna have to be
You know, I'm
ready to go
an
at like
unrepentant
10:30.
tech optimist, there's no
Yeah.
question of that. But also I'm grounded, though, that there are unintended consequences of technology. And
Excuse me.
that we can just use more
Eventually we'll have some
technology
viewers,
to
I bet.
solve for those
Once I get
problems.
the new link out.
And definitely technologists by themselves cannot solve for these.
So I can't hear your audio,
That it is
Me
At least-
talking?
the video
Or-
audio. So I just have the
Alright,
video audio playing on the other side.
that some of the more dystopian scenarios don't come. In 1984.
Can
when
you hear it now?
technology was being used to monitor,
Yeah,
control,
I can hear it now.
dictate. Or what Huxley imagined we may do by just distracting ourselves without any meaning or purpose. Neither of these futures is something that we want. So the question is, what are we going to do? What are the practical ways we can make progress? And to me, it comes down to a set of design.
Oh, so Michael's online. He's asking what's the link.
Yeah,
I
I'm
believe
about to tweet it
we
out. Tell him.
can make these practical design choices.
Yeah, he says he has a meeting, and he'll try and jump on
enshrine
after his
our
meeting.
timeless values. The first one is that we should empower people.
There, I
with
just tweeted it out.
technology.
I'll
That's
I'll
gotta
send
be
it to
the
you via Twitter.
Front and center consideration for everything that we do going forward. People have to be in the loop. Let's amplify their capability, amplify their ingenuity. Second, let us use technology to bring more empowerment
This stream looks pretty
to
good.
more people.
Yeah. All right, I gotta shut it down on my
When you
side
have
so that
these
I'm not killing my
amazing
bandwidth.
advances in computer
Yeah, that's a good
vision,
idea.
I've got this like
or
control
speech,
center set up.
text understanding,
Check this out though. We can check
Let us
out what's going
use
on
that.
Twitter.
to bring more people to be able to use
Oh, very cool.
technology
Yeah.
and to participate economically in our society. So this inclusive design ultimately can be an instrument for inclusive
So for
growth.
everybody that's watching online, hi there.
And lastly,
Do you actually have anybody listening?
up to us.
Can you see the people that are joined
As
on?
the world
We've
becomes
got
more
two
technology-driven,
two
digital
listeners or
technology
viewers
Oh, we do?
right now.
parcel of
Wow,
every
hi.
aspect,
Appreciate it.
building trust in technology
Let's see here.
is crucial.
We do have
and I think it starts
we have a live chat.
with us
Do we?
taking
Where? Oh, in YouTube?
accountability,
Yeah.
taking accountability for the algorithms we create, the experiences that we create, and ensuring that there is more trust
This is
in
pretty cool.
technology with each day. These principles, these are practical.
So I'm guessing this is the part of
but yet
build
they
where,
capture, I think, the
he
essence
has to
of timeless
talk up the,
values. And
all
this
the
is what
business
grounds
objectives and whatnot.
us in our
Yeah,
mission.
this is
when we say we want to empower
The big
every
picture.
person and every organization
You've got
on the
the
planet to achieve
the
more, And I think it
reporters
especially speaks
taking
to empowering
pictures
every
and
developer.
trying to
After all,
make
we are a
sweeping
company that
tweets
started as a
about
dev
whatever
tools company.
Satya has to say.
We want to think about people.
The great thing when you're on stage
but we
at Build,
also
I've
want to
noticed,
think
is
about
that
the
they have teleprompters,
institutions people build.
which I would be so much better on stage if I had
We
a
want to think
teleprompter at all
about what we
times.
do across the
How much does a
globe,
teleprompter
every
cost?
part of the
Can we buy
world.
one?
More than $0.
And
So,
perhaps most importantly, it's not just
Let's-
I mean, really, all you
celebrating
need is
any
a TV
platform or
screen
technology of
and
ours,
some teleprompter
but
software.
it's about celebrating
Looks
the
like you can get a
people
teleprompter
that
for
use
350
that
bucks.
technology
That's
to
$350
have
more than I
broad
want to spend.
impact.
Well, hey, you're about to be Mr. Famous soon, man. Like, you might,
And that's
somebody might
what
give you
we've
one.
been realizing. That mission, that
That's
sense
right.
of
The more
purpose
you
is
need
what
something, the less you pay for
has
it,
been
right?
driving us
Exactly.
in this mobile-first, cloud-first world. And the opportunity that
Oh,
you
cool. Michael
have
says we can get a teleprompter for the iPad.
around Microsoft platforms
Oh, cool.
is pretty stunning and amazing. Think about the 500 million Windows 10 devices that you can now reach through the Windows Store.
It's a really
reach
cool thing they're trying to
is
do
what's
with the
gonna
Windows
drive
Store.
our
I
ecosystem
keep
going
hoping
forward. It's
that
gonna
it'll take
give
off,
each
but
one
then
of
again,
you
there's very
more of
few
an audience,
Windows
more
Store apps I
users,
myself
more
use.
engagement in a secure
I do
way.
have Tweetium,
And
which
we
I
wanna
like
talk
and I'm
a
using for
lot
today's live
about
stream.
the advances in Windows Store
Is that similar
throughout this
to like
conference.
TweetDeck or something like that?
Yeah, but it's a
100
Windows
million
Universal
MAU
app.
of Office
So
365.
Gotcha.
This is the most valuable set of users.
I think the thing for me is
the
he
core
keeps,
of the
or they keep
enterprise
saying devices, like these
using
Windows
these
10
tools
devices.
every
I mean,
day.
other than laptops, I don't know
And
what
they've
other
done
devices
a
that they're talking
lot
about.
to
Because as
make
far as I know, there's no
all of
longer
your applications
Tablets.
a Windows Phone.
more discoverable,
or
more
two-in-ones.
usable inside
Two-in-ones
the
are still
user
laptops, as far as I'm
scaffolding
concerned.
of Office.
Yeah.
They're just
This, to
laptops
me,
with the head
is
pops off.
so amazing
Pro
to see
that's
how we
most
build
definitely
teams with that
a tablet.
third-party extensions being front and center.
I am looking forward to that new Surface tablet, though.
Tabs, extensions,
The Surface
all of
Pro
those being
5 or 6
surfaced
or
with the
whatever it's
user
going to be.
experience scaffolding
Well, we'll
of
see what they
Teams. I
announce.
think
And
huge
they've got another
opportunity.
thing coming up in a couple.
Outlook extensions.
Is that the one in Tokyo?
Office. So you have now the
No,
ability
it's
to
in
reach
Shanghai.
100 million
Shanghai,
of the
got
most valuable users with any application you build. I mean, Cortana is getting used by
I've been at Build a
140
couple times. I
million
attended it 4
users
years in a row from
every
2012 through
month on Windows today.
2015. And
I've never gone. I'd love to
I mean,
go.
just to put this in perspective,
well, Build
these are
2015,
devices, by the
I
way,
was
that all
hell
have
bent
near-field
on
audio
being
and
in a good
screens.
seat for the keynote.
And so when you start
And I
writing
think I showed up
skills
for the line at
that is
about
gonna take
6:30 in the
audio input or
morning
text
outside the
input
Moscone Center,
and have
and I
responses that
was
are both audio
like
and
12th in
screens,
line.
you
So
have an
when they
amazing
opened the
install
doors, I
base
was one of the
already that's
first
rich that you
minions
can
to stream
extend.
in. And
In terms
they
of
had a special set of
organizations, there
seats
are
set up in
over
front of
12
all of the
million
reporters.
organizational entities in
Oh,
Azure
cool.
Directory. So this
I could
is
probably find the
both
pictures. I mean,
large businesses, small and medium-sized businesses.
I mean, I was so
educational
close to
institutions.
Satya,
12
he could
million
hear
of
me
them
talking, I guess.
are already inside of
Nice.
Azure Active Directory. That means they're using one of the cloud services we have.
I think one of the main reasons I'd want to go to
Applications
Bull is
can
because
do
they give away
single
free stuff.
sign-on.
They don't really do that anymore,
Across all
though.
of these
No?
They
million
stopped that last year. Yeah, this year
organizations,
apparently the
reducing friction,
the
making it
giveaway,
possible for
at least that we
you
know
to reach
about,
them.
is a 20%
Over
discount
90%
at
of
the
Fortune
Microsoft stores
500
in
are
Seattle
using
during the
our cloud
conference.
today. So this
So
is
just
still
in
a
Seattle?
foundation
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Well, I mean, in the Seattle
for the
area, but you're not going to get
opportunity that
it
you
down there
have
in Fort
front of
Lauderdale.
you as you
That's what I'm saying.
build
Like, if I went to
operations
Build and I
services.
decided to take my,
And
you know,
throughout
my
these
20%
3
with
days, we're
me,
gonna
like I couldn't
talk
use it at
about
the store on it.
No.
We're continuing
Oh,
to
that blows.
advance these platforms, continuing to advance
Looks like we're getting some chatter in the chat room, dude.
so that you
Oh, yeah? I'll have to pull
get
that
the
up.
best return
Hey,
on the investments you make
it's MJ.
on Microsoft platforms. Now, one of the things that always happens
That's Matthew James Davis from the
is
Aurelia team, and
you as
also
developers,
Oh, yeah?
world-renowned
with
Eater.
the apps you build
Roller on
and
Eater.
the
Okay.
Yeah,
feedback
we
cycle
had
between
Krista and I
those
had him over for dinner
applications
one night, and
and the platform
I think he would have eaten the kitchen
is
table
what
if it was
shapes
possible.
the
Right.
evolution
Cool.
of platforms. Last year we talked a lot about conversations as a platform, and this year you will see
Yeah, I've
in
turned
demo
Cortana
after
off on
demo
my desk.
people using conversations as a platform. People building agents, personal assistants.
I usually turn it off
expand
because
devices,
sometimes it'll just start talking
skills
to me
for those agents,
unprompted.
Yeah.
bots,
It'll be
natural
like,
user
hey, I can't find that for you.
interfaces
And I'm like,
for
I didn't
those
ask you anything.
multi-device
Why are you talking
applications,
to me?
whether it be text or speech.
So for those of you on the live
vision
stream,
and
how does my
gestures,
audio
with
sound? Is
mixed
it
reality.
do I sound like a robot or do I sound normal?
IoT, big workload in the cloud. AI is everywhere.
Are you moving your mic?
Now
Oh,
we'll wait.
okay.
Large amounts
Yeah,
of data,
it was
create
getting loose.
intelligence,
This
distribute
$12
it.
mic stand that I have is not the best.
Hey, it works, man.
Here though, I'll do this. Look at that.
Workflows,
I am
advanced
so
analytics that people are building in the
professional.
cloud are all pointing to
We could have you on Twitch.
what I think
Yep.
is a fundamental change in the paradigm of the apps that we are building, a change in the worldview that we have. We are moving from what is today's mobile-first, cloud-first world.
I'm looking forward to
to a
seeing
new
Scott
world
Guthrie, to be honest
that
with
is
you.
going to be made up
Yeah,
of
well, and there's a
an
keynote
intelligent
tomorrow, and I know that back in
cloud and an
2015,
intelligent edge.
today the first day
And
was
this
all about
entire
like
conference
Windows
is
and
about talking about this
devices, and then the
massive
second day
shift
was about
that's gonna play
developers.
out in the years to
Right.
come.
So it'll be interesting.
There are three
I expect Scott Guthrie
fundamental
personally, and
characteristics
watch me be proven
of this
completely
new
wrong, but I'd expect Scott Guthrie
Application
to
pattern
host the
and
keynote
worldview.
tomorrow in the way that
First
Satya is doing today.
is
Yeah.
Okay.
the
So
user
what do you think the difference
experience
between today and tomorrow is? Because I figured you'll do all of the new
distributed
developer stuff
across
today, right?
devices. It's no
I mean,
longer
I'm just going on
just
based on
mobile
what I
first. In
remember
other
from
words,
2
it's not
years
about
ago.
one
Right.
device,
So.
an app model for one device. The user experience itself is going to span all of your devices. Easiest to understand it when you think about your personal digital assistant. Your personal digital assistant, by definition, is going to be available on all your devices. And in fact, as you move between devices, it's going to be there, helping you get your tasks done. That multi-device experience is what now
I just sent
needs
the
platform
live stream out to
capability.
the
You need
.NET
new
Miami.
abstractions, not for just a single piece of hardware.
Oh, you put it in there? I forgot to do
Yeah.
that earlier today.
Devices that help you build out your application. And by
For
the way,
anybody
this
that
is user
joins,
experience
our Twitter
that is not
usernames
just
are up there on the
about
screen, and you can
input.
message
It has
us
also got state in it.
on Twitter. Send us tweets. We
And
eat
so
them for
that's
lunch.
what leads to, in fact, the second big change.
Isn't that copyrighted by
It's AI.
another show?
We know the currency
I have no idea what you're talking about.
of this platform shift is all
So
about
speaking of
data.
Twitter,
We talked
have you
about
heard
the
about this
car,
new network
right?
called
100
Mastodon?
gigabytes of data per
No.
second for an
So
autonomous
Mastodon is like the
connected car.
decentralized
When you have that type
open
of
version
data
of Twitter.
generated at the edge,
And apparently there's a bunch of
data has
developers that are on
gravity.
it, particularly a lot of folks in
Computational power
London,
will move
in
to
Europe
it.
are on it.
Okay.
And so that means
But I was like,
as
okay,
you
another social
create,
network. Let me check back in this
it's going to be
in like 2
by
months or so.
definition
We'll see
Yeah.
what's going on.
You in fact already see these
Looks
cases
like my
where people
video
are doing
feed
a
is
lot
going
of
to
the training
crap.
in GPUs on the cloud, but are deploying the models
Look
in
at
the
that.
edge.
It's all jerky.
But we're reaching a point where
Yeah,
you
that's
can't
what happens with
rendezvous
Build,
all the
like,
data for training
'cause you
and
can imagine
No. I
how much
mean
people
my
it's on it.
personal
to train
video
and do
feed
your
from my
inferences
webcam.
in the edge.
Oh.
So you absolutely need a new set of abstractions for even AI in terms of how
Which is
you
hilarious.
learn and you
That blows.
train and you infer that spans both the edge and the cloud. And so as you see the experience as well as data and AI getting distributed, there needs to be a fundamental change in the inner and the outer loop of what we as developers
I wanna try
do.
something.
Continuous
Let me know if my
integration,
audio
continuous
sounds weird.
deployment is going to change.
Don't break the
That's
stream,
why
Ashley.
Things like microservices, containers are playing a massive role in the outer loop.
Oh, that maybe fixed it,
one
but
of
I
the
bet you
things
my
that
audio
I
is broken
think
now.
Going to completely change.
Anybody, let me
how we
know
think
if
about
my audio
logic,
sounds like a robot
resilience.
now that I changed one thing.
In a world where things get more distributed, event-driven, you want to be able to write logic that reacts to these events, is not static. That means you don't have a piece of logic just being bound and
Oh, hold on.
running
You can't
on
post
one virtual machine in one
links
location
inside
is
of
something that can
inside
actually
of the
be
chat room?
modeled.
Are you serious?
I mean, think about even these AI models. One of the big challenges.
All right, I bet I
can
can
be
fix the
modeled
Mr.
brilliantly.
Roboto.
So
Hold
you want to
on.
be able to tackle that. So serverless computation is
Do
going
I
to
sound like a
fundamentally
robot
not only change
now?
the economics of what is back-end
No,
computing,
at least not to me.
but it's
Okay,
going
well,
to be
we'll
the
wait the
core
30 seconds for
of
everybody
the
else to
future of distributed
chime in.
computing. So this application
I
paradigm
think I figured
shift
out why my
of
audio
intelligent
wasn't
cloud
playing
and
earlier.
intelligent edge is
All
going to
good.
be
Awesome.
pervasively
All right,
changing
I'm going to stay
everything we
quiet
do
for a second while I fix stuff.
inside of Windows, inside of
Yeah,
Office
this stupid chat room
365,
won't let me put links
inside
in
of
there.
Azure.
But anyway, if you guys are in the chat
And the
room, check
rest
out
of what you will hear
http
about in the next 3 days
mastodon.network.
is about
So that's the free
unpacking
open source decentralized Twitter clone. I know a bunch of developers, particularly a lot of .NET developers. I know have been getting on that lately. I don't have an account yet, but again, I'll check it back every now and again and see what's going
we
on.
want to show you is from a company, Sandvik, which is a Swedish industrial automation company, 150 years old, 43,000 people in the company. They build industrial automation. These
All right, I should be sounding good now, and sorry for having to switch the feed so quickly, but
high precision work.
this is our first time doing
They
this.
built a
There's going to be some
cloud
growing pains.
application to be able to take all of the data from their machines, do predictions, preventive maintenance, and they realized that, in fact, they started using the time series capability. So that means you were able to see the anomalies as they happen. But with time series, the cool thing is that you can, in fact, go back and see what is the causal effect or what is the causation of the anomaly. And so once you
The thing
start
that
seeing
always
that,
amazes
they
me
said,
with
well,
these
we should be
case
able to
studies they
make
talk about
these
on build
decisions on when
and
to
everything
shut the
is
machine before it does any damage,
I have been to
without
a
having
fair number
latency
of
and bandwidth
government
issues
agencies
so on. So they
and,
said, well, we need to distribute the
enterprises,
logic
and I've
that they've
talked to a
written in
ton
the
of
cloud
developers
to
who
the
also
edge
work in
itself.
enterprise.
And that's where they
And
wrote Azure
everybody
functions,
seems to be
that's where the
writing
logic was
really
written,
crappy
and then
software
they
due to
containerized it in
management,
Docker and moved
and yet
it to
Microsoft's
the
always
edge
able to
so
find
that they could
places
take
that
those inference decisions
will
and
allow
make
them to
so
write
much more
actual
faster.
awesome software
And to show you this
and
demo,
not
I want
fight
to
it
invite
for
up on
whatever
stage
reason.
Sam George from our IoT team.
And I just
Well, I'm
wish
sure
we could
there's a
have
fair
more
amount of
places like
company
that.
Intelligent
that
cloud
go
and
through.
intelligent edge is already working at Sandvik. Sam?
I just never seem to find them,
Thanks,
even
Yeah,
when
I'm
I go to
sure.
conferences.
Good morning,
Oh,
everyone.
who do we have here?
I have no idea. Who's this guy?
So the machine that you see costs
must be
over
from
$1 million.
that company.
It has
Oh,
over
wait, no.
900 moving parts. Any of those parts that break down could cause an interruption to that machine. And this machine doesn't exist in isolation. It exists in factories. And there's many of these machines in a factory. And so downtime to one machine can cause cascading failures to the factory and delays that cost millions of dollars per hour. Now, years ago, these machines were simply serviced at regular intervals. And as Satya just said, these are now being connected to the cloud so that you can predict the maintenance needs of these and to even shut them down in the case of a pending failure.
I've seen
So
companies
Sandvik
that
Coromant
do
has
this type
these
of industrial
connected to
stuff
Azure,
using
and they trust
Aurelia
Azure and Azure
to run
IoT
them, like CNC machines
keep
that
these
use
machines
Aurelia for the
running
interface.
and to keep them safe.
Oh,
So
wow,
let's take a
cool.
look at what they're doing. So here you see both the factory floor and the edge devices, as well as the cloud. Sandvik has software that's running on these machines, and the software is collecting telemetry from these devices and sending them to IoT Hub, to our Azure IoT Hub service, in a secure, scalable, two-way communication. Once the telemetry is through Azure IoT Hub, they're using a combination of stream analytics and machine learning to determine the maintenance needs of these machines and keep them running, and also to trigger a shutdown in the case of a pending damage to the machine. And so when that happens, they simply trigger an Azure function, which calls through Azure IoT Hub and then down to the devices themselves. Now, Sandvik, like many of our industrial customers, has also implemented fail-safe logic that runs out on the machine. So if there's a local network interruption, they can still monitor whether the machine needs to be shut down.
What are you doing, dude?
And they had to develop that again. They already have that logic running in the cloud, And what they really, really want is to be able to take that logic in the cloud and move it out to the edge. Cloud functionality to be exported, run, and managed directly on IoT devices remotely. So now the picture starts to look dramatically different.
Okay.
Now Sandvik can simply take that logic and export it and run down on these devices. And what's nice about that is you get a nice symmetry where logic can be tested and developed in the cloud. You can run CI/CD pipelines in the cloud. And on successful deployments, you can run the exact same code out on the devices at very low latency. So to take a look at that in action, let's take a look at an operational dashboard. So what you see here is a set of factories across the globe, and I'm going to open one of them up. So these are all the different machines on this factory floor. Now, each one of these machines has its own unique telemetry that it's sending to the cloud, its own unique RPMs and power consumption and vibration, and all of that telemetry.
Wow, this is actually pretty cool.
To create those machine learning modules that are fine-tuned to predict the maintenance needs for each one of these machines and to shut them down in the case of a pending failure. So if I go over to the Azure tab here, I can see all of the different logic that Sandvik has developed for these machines. And the first three are for the metal cutting machine that you saw when I came out. With this new capability that we've developed called Azure IoT Edge and this capability in the cloud, we can now simply take that logic and export it. And they get packaged up into portable Docker containers. And now when I go back to the factory floor, I get an alert on the machine that I just exported that there's new software available for it. So if I open this up, I see the operational dashboard for this machine.
I need to get a dedicated machine just for that.
Temperature, power consumption, but there's a really important one I want to draw your attention to, and that's up in the upper right-hand corner, the emergency response time. And what that is how long it takes for
this dashboard is actually pretty nice. It's a little dark, but it's actually pretty nice.
Sent to the cloud, evaluated, and in the case of an emergency shutdown, for a signal to be sent back down to the device. Right now, that's a little over 2 seconds, and with Azure IoT Edge, we could do dramatically better. So these packages that I exported are now available. I'm going to open them up and select them. Now, I've already coordinated ahead of time with the IT and OT teams so that I know that it's safe to update these machines. And when I click deploy, what's going to happen is we're going to network these containers down to the machine. We're going to activate them, and they're going to start running that protection code right on the machine.
I mean, I'm not
you're going to see the emergency
really coming close to my upload
The reason why is that
limit. I think I get 20 megabit upload, and I'm only using between 3 and 7.
So I go ahead and click deploy. It's now downloading, installing, and running. And now you see we just dropped down
to make the stream quality better tomorrow.
Over 100 milliseconds. It's a 20x improvement. And now Sandvik Core Mount doesn't have to duplicate their logic in the cloud or on a device to protect these million-dollar machines. This is the power of Azure IoT Edge, and it's the power of an intelligent cloud working in harmony with an intelligent edge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. I mean, that shows you the simple but powerful illustration of how you can take logic, distribute it to, in this case, improve response times. Now let's take it to the next logical step. In fact, let's take it to the extreme. You know, when you think about the last, say, 20 years or so, one of the most profound changes that we've seen is what's happened with the web and something like search, where all the text that was ever created could get indexed and searched, reasoned over. I mean, we're crawling all the time. We're able to understand all of the world's text and then to serve it up, knowing what's in it. Just imagine if we can do that with any physical place. Suppose we can create these digital twins of a hospital, of an industrial setting, a factory floor. And fundamentally, you could start reasoning about people. the relationship with other people, the things in the place, all towards creating safety for human beings. When you can start setting policy on what is safe interactions, that can absolutely change lives and make sure that some of the, in fact, there was a survey that was done by the National Council of Occupational Safety and Health, and basically it said that pretty much all of the accidents in the workplace can, in fact, be prevented if you were able to detect these anomalies before they happen. So that's the kind of impact
Precogs,
some of the
man.
technology that we have
Azure
now
is for precogs.
can have. And so we put together a demo for you using pretty much the runtimes that are all available to us. The new Azure IoT Edge, when you have lots and lots of devices in a place and you're creating a mesh, in fact, an ad hoc data center gets created pretty much nowadays in a factory floor or at home or anywhere else. And for that, we even have Azure Stack as the edge of the cloud so that you have the computation and storage capability. You have the ability to run these cognitive services, things like computer vision on a commodity camera. Bringing all of this edge compute together and edge intelligence together with the cloud, you can turn any place into a safe AI-driven place. And what we wanted to do is roll a video to show you some of the scenarios, and then Andrea will come out and give you a demo of this AI-driven workplace for safety. Andrea, let's roll the video first.
As our world becomes increasingly digitized, so does our ability to connect with it. Imagine if you could search your surroundings the same way you search the web. Using existing cameras and advances in AI, we can now find things and people in the real world in real time and take action to improve safety and well-being. When a dangerous spill occurs in a chemical plant, cameras recognize the incident. This technology can identify a specific tool, as well as the closest authorized person who can deliver it, saving everyone time and keeping the workflow moving.
Yeah, I think we're fighting a couple things, right? When you're fighting, one, the fact that there's tons of people trying to hit that Microsoft Lite fee, or also...
And we're bringing the edge of Microsoft's cloud to any device.
Good morning, everybody. So let's take a look at how you can digitize real-world environments like what we just saw in the video. As Satya said, today we're going to show you a solution that we've built using Microsoft Azure Stack, Azure Functions, cognitive services, and commodity cameras that make this a reality.
And we're going to make it look so easy. Oh, they've got actors.
In a highly controlled environment like a construction site, being able to track equipment, people, and what they're doing is critical to working.
All right, for everybody that's watching, it looks like the feed's doing really good. I haven't dropped a single frame yet, so we're good to go now. I figured it out, I think.
Using our technology right now, both people and object recognition models are currently deployed in that construction yard. And then on the screen there before you, you can see the solution is recognizing Yana in real time, as well as equipment like the green jackhammer on the floor there. Now, over next door to your left is a workshop space, which is where Ayuba is working. And right now, with our technology recognition deployed, the system is going to let me do things like find who's trained to use that jackhammer and also who
That's very cool.
used it. And so that means I can actually use this technology to ensure my project is meeting health and safety regulations. And so in order to do that, I'm going to deploy an object recognition model in the workshop. But before I do, take note again of that jackhammer in Ayuba's workshop. It is resting vertically against the bench, which is actually a very unsafe position for such a large, heavy object to be in. And so I've already gone ahead and I've tagged that jackhammer in a variety of safe and unsafe positions in the system. And so when I update this pipeline, which I'm going to do right now, it's not only going to see the jackhammer now, but it is also going to tell me it's in an unstable orientation, and it's going to notify Ayuba, so he's able to very quickly resolve the issue. the solution is running more than 27 million recognitions per second across people, objects, and activities, both in the yard and in the workshop. And we're making changes to the solution in real time in the cloud and deploying it to the edge, which is a great example of how we can stretch the cloud to create a mesh of interconnected devices and services. So now, imagine if we could take that a step further, recognizing people and then applying a set of policies to them to ensure workplace safety. Over in the construction yard, we have a new employee, Christina, who is showing up for her first day of work. So I'm going to go ahead and onboard her into the system just by using this phone again and typing a simple command. Show me non-employees on the job site. Now, because this is a highly controlled environment and health and safety is so imperative, there are cameras already deployed on that job site. And so they have already captured her photo, and that makes it very easy to onboard.
Is this
just click on her picture.
Is this bot framework and the IoT stuff? Is that what this is?
New person, and go ahead and enter her information. Okay, so now she's onboarded. And now I can create a new policy to enforce that credentialed employees can do things like use jackhammers. So I'm going to type a policy. Only credentialed employees can use jackhammers. Okay, the new policy has been activated. And so now she can just go about her job, and I won't get any policy violations, which means my regulations are being met. Now, if somebody who is not authorized to use that equipment comes onto the construction yard, a workflow is going to notify me and people nearby of a potentially dangerous situation. Like that one, for example. You can see the violation's been triggered, and Christine is able to quickly resolve it. Now, this was an intentionally simple scenario, but examples like this one and the ones you saw in the video are all based on real customer requirements. And they support even more complex business processes using cognitive services, Azure Functions, Azure Stack, and commodity cameras to bring the edge of Microsoft's cloud to any device. The
That makes sense. Cognitive services.
The interface between the computer and the real world. And so we have just shown you how you can.
So she was just telling us about what they were using. So it's Azure Functions, some commodity cameras, cognitive services.
To improve health and safety.
Now, cognitive services stuff they have
early
is
days, but we are really
crazy right
excited
now.
for the potential of AI for workplace safety. And with this technology, we think you have an opportunity to build even more sophisticated solutions that have the power to transform entire industries. And we'll share more over the next 12 months.
Parents are going to be
Thank you.
using this stuff to keep an eye on their babies for when they're trying to get out of the crib.
Thank you, Andrea.
Dude,
That's
they're
a
gonna be
$1
using
million
this.
idea right there. Somebody needs to implement that.
They're gonna be spying on their teenagers when they try to sneak out the house, and then the house is gonna be like, "No, you're doing something potentially, that's gonna cause
Floodlights
trouble."
come in.
Right? The house says, "No, you cannot allowed to leave. Stay home."
And as it speaks, it uses the garage door up and
Yeah.
down. That's its mouth.
We've seen a couple of
Exactly.
amazing examples of what's happening with these industrial applications. But what's happening with the edge is for sure happening with the devices we use every day. In fact, just the social complexity. Bill Buxton, who is a UI researcher, always likes to remind me that the fundamental challenge we have as an industry right now is the social complexity of our devices. I mean, just think about the notifications. How many times do I need to get notified across all my devices? In order to solve for that, you need to be able to have that intelligence that spans all of your devices. You need to have these agents that span all of your devices. And so you need a new architecture for everything from notifications to agents to task completion. And that's really what we are set out to build. In fact, the journey got started with Office 365. You know, Office 365 was pretty profound in the sense that we took workloads like Exchange or Skype or SharePoint to the cloud. But beyond the move of an individual workload to the cloud, the more profound shift that happened
I'm guessing that's
was
breakfast.
underneath. It was the data plane. people and their relationship with other people is now a
very fun.
first-class
Ouch.
thing
And how are you up already,
in the
dude?
cloud. It's not just people, but it's their relationships. It's their relationships to all of the work artifacts, their schedules, their project plans, their documents. All of that now is manifest in this Microsoft graph. And with the move to Windows as a service, you even have all of the devices that people use.
So I have a old tower that's been sitting in the garage for,
So you now have this
well, it's before we got the house, to be honest with you. It's just been just sitting there for a while.
Yeah.
Trying to decide what I'm going to do with it.
Their activities, their devices, all principled under user security principles and organizational security principles. So when we talked about that Azure Active Directory and the Microsoft account, those security principles still govern
like nowadays it is
to all of this data. So it's really the user's data.
It's hard to come
But
up with
now
something
there
to
is a
do
real
with that stuff because a
platform
lot of the
in
stuff we
Microsoft
would have done
Graph that
now we
allows
do in the
every
cloud, you know.
developer, as they
Yeah.
start constructing these multi-device experiences, to be able to access people, their relationships, their activities, as well as their devices. And you'll see this.
Looks like
even
now I'm having trouble
tomorrow
with your
in
video.
the Windows
I'm not
presentation
dropping
as
any
to
frames.
How this programming model is going to manifest at the core of what is Windows applications going forward.
See, it looks okay on the stream, I think.
And so if you take a scenario like meetings, and most people think about meetings as a one-time thing, but the reality is people come together, collaborate before a meeting,
knock it out.
to prepare for the meeting, and then during the meeting, and then want to be able to access the artifacts from the meeting after the meeting. Right? So there is a temporal part to a meeting. There is multiple people, multiple devices. And when you think about building an application or an experience for meeting, thinking about it as in simple terms of a single device experience or a single cloud service is just not sufficient. You need
Oh, are you going to dev intersections too?
programming model abstractions that allow you to think about everything that spans an intelligent meeting.
Gotcha.
And to show you this in action, I wanted to invite up on stage Laura Jones and team to show you how intelligent meetings can be built using everything that we have in the Microsoft Graph and Office 365
A little bit.
in Azure,
Just
as
a
well
little
as in
bit.
Windows and other devices. Laura, take it
Thanks,
away.
Satya. Thanks.
They're talking a lot about these devices, man.
Today we're going to show you
Yeah, that's what I was
three
telling you. I
things
think
that
tomorrow
demonstrate
is going to
our
be the
vision
day
for the
where
future
you
of
and I'll have a lot
productivity.
better commentary because it'll be
First,
stuff
how
we understand.
Microsoft services work across contexts
Devices for
and
me are
devices.
just,
Second,
I don't know,
how
maybe I need to get
developers
into
can
it because it
leverage
seems
the
like to be the new
Microsoft Graph
hotness.
to build devices
Yeah, we're gonna have to
that
start-
run
JavaScript
right
on these
into their
things.
apps. And
Yeah, we're gonna have to
third,
start
how
looking
we're
at
bringing
this
together
IoT
our
stuff.
productivity platform to optimize the meeting
I've
experience.
mainly been paying attention to the iOS
Cortana.
stuff, the Internet of Shit.
What's my day look like?
What? Oh man,
There's a
found
website.
3 events today.
I figured there was. I'm looking for it right
First
now.
up,
Yeah.
at 9 a.m. you have a meeting titled Packaging Review.
This is that new
It looks like you're
Cortana
low on fuel,
thing
so I
that is
suggest
definitely
leaving
not
10
an
minutes
Amazon
early to
Echo.
make your 9
The
a.m.
Echo
meeting on
Echo
time.
clone.
Yeah.
Also, you got an update from Expedia confirming flights and a hotel room.
But they didn't make this though. They
Right.
partnered with
That's the
some
upcoming
company, right?
vacation
Like
I
the
have, so
speaker,
I
the
better
speaker
let my
company,
Yeah, I
Harman.
think Harman Kardon.
Hey, Cortana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask time away to set my out of office from Monday to Friday.
Okay, you're marked as out of office from Monday to Friday. Your auto reply message is set, and your time off has been entered in the time away system.
Awesome.
Hopefully soon we'll get
Developers can
better
create
at
Cortana skills that
the
work
the voice
across platforms.
generation.
Like this example with the Invoke speaker. where
Yeah,
Cortana
Siri
works
actually sounds way
directly
better
with
than
my
that, to be honest
works
with you.
time off system to fulfill
But I'm
my
not a big fan of
requests.
Siri either.
Hey, Cortana,
When I was at Build back in
do I have any other reminders for today?
2014, I think it was, I got to talk to
You
one of
mentioned you
the
would
project
provide a list
managers
of
on the
designers for
Cortana
review
team.
in today's meeting.
Right.
Learned a lot of
Remind
interesting
me when I get
stuff.
to the car.
Like
Got it.
the reason they decided to
device
stick with the
graph, I'm able to
Cortana
push
name
this
is
notification
and not go
to
with
any
like
of my
Hey
devices.
Alexa is that
I'm gonna push it
the
to my
K
Xbox,
in
but since I'm
Cortana
headed that way, I've
is
gone
easy
ahead
for the
and set it to my
computer
car.
to
But
catch.
don't laugh, it gets
It's like
great
with
fuel
dogs,
economy.
you want to say sit and not,
Ah.
you know, it's naming
with
a
the help of
dog is you
Cortana,
want to
I'm
give it
fueled up and
hard
ready to make my meeting on
sounds
time.
for it to key off of. It's interesting
Right.
that it's we do the same thing with our computers nowadays.
For your 9 a.m.
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
Would you like me to let the other attendees know and connect you when it starts?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Oh, very cool.
Guess I spoke too soon.
Hi Laura, just a reminder to provide a list of designers for your packaging review meeting.
Ask LinkedIn to pull all the designers from my network.
I'm still
all
not a
the
fan of
designers
LinkedIn.
In your network.
Yeah.
Would you like me to
But I saw
Is
they
anybody
released.
a fan of LinkedIn?
Or send you a summary?
They released LinkedIn Learning. I don't know if they released it, but I
Summary
just
to
saw
my
it
product
yesterday.
review
So it
channel.
looks like they're rebranding lynda.com to LinkedIn Learning.
Yeah.
Okay, I added
That's pretty
them to
cool.
your team channel.
Hopefully they got some good
Cortana's aware
content.
of the device I'm
They're
on,
It's the same
they're able
content.
to provide me
Oh
with
yeah, well maybe they'll be
contextually
adding some new
appropriate responses, so I can
awesome
take the best
content.
next step.
Hi Laura, your meeting is about to start. Should I connect you?
Yes, please. Hey folks, I'm running a little late, but go ahead and get started without me.
No worries, Laura. We got your note earlier. So while Laura joins, let me take a second and show
What
you
what
guys
OS
around
was that
Microsoft
car
Teams.
running?
For those of you that haven't seen it,
I don't.
this is
I'm
Microsoft
sure
Teams.
it's
We use
embedded Windows
chat-based,
with Cortana. or
collaborative
something like that.
workspace in Office 365, and we're in a Teams meeting. Now, one of the great features in Teams
If it
is
doesn't run
tabs.
on the Android or
Using
iOS,
tabs,
nobody's ever going to
I
get
can
to use
take
it,
anything
unfortunately.
that I access most frequently, whether it's
Well, I mean,
documents,
Ford has
meetings, or
Microsoft Sync in their cars
or
today,
like this Power
so
BI
I'm sure it's
Yeah,
some
but
derivative.
which has
that
our survey
runs.
results. And I can pin
I
it
don't know.
in my channel.
I've never talked to anybody who
From there,
liked
I
Sync.
can easily screen share
I was
it
using a
straight into my
Chrysler car
meeting.
a couple weeks ago, and I really
Now,
liked
one
the
of the
touch screen in
disruptive
it. It was
things
high.
that can
It was
happen in a
very
meeting is when someone enters the room late or enters the
like
call
the
late.
performance was
Now,
really
what if
really
I could
good.
simply just walk into the meeting,
Yeah.
and just like that, the Teams app has turned into companion mode because it's aware of my context. Windows is adding 2 new components to the Microsoft Graph. Activities like this meeting that I'm in or a document that I might be working on throughout the day, and devices like this iOS device. Here, we're using Project Roam to adapt my app based on the fact that I've walked into a meeting. Developers can leverage these APIs through the Project Roam SDK to bridge the gaps between people, apps, devices, and services, and enable truly mobile experiences.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Rashir. Hi, Fatima. How are things going with the focus group data?
Hey, yeah, I looked at the data last night. The demographic there where AV prefers a cleaner font with more blues and greens.
Okay, good to know. Let's go ahead and pull up the LinkedIn list that I sent from the car.
Sure. Let me share the LinkedIn tab.
I've worked with Joe before on a similar project. Rashir, would you mind pulling up some of his current work?
Sure. Now, in my Teams meetings, I can also chat with my channel's bots. And developers can use the Microsoft Bot Framework to light up some amazing conversational experiences in Teams meetings. Let me show you one.
It looks like TechCrunch has all the good Microsoft news right now. Like they just keep releasing article after article. So right now they just announced on TechCrunch, Microsoft Azure launches Azure Database for PostgreSQL and MySQL.
Yeah, sure thing.
Great. Meeting spot.
Yeah.
Assign task to Laura to connect with Joe on the packaging project.
It also says HP signed on to
Great.
produce
Now that that's
Cortana
done,
enabled
I wanted to show you guys
devices.
the latest comps for the packaging. With the Teams companion app, I'm able to share video and photo straight into the meeting. Now, I think it's a little retro, but let me know what you guys think.
Yeah, that's retro.
Right, well, hopefully Joe can bring it up to date. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye, Fatma.
So when I get back to my desk and open up my laptop, Cortana's waiting there for me with an action item from earlier in the day. When I click on the notification, it takes me to Outlook, where there's an email with my meeting summary. It has the attendee list, the video links, the tabs used, and the bot interactions. Best of all, here's my action item. I could go ahead and mark it as complete right in the email, but I want to dig in a bit more. Developers could add content to this actionable email or create Outlook plugins like this one from Microsoft Stream. When I click on the plugin, the Stream service gives me a transcription.
Hey, Richie's in the group. What's going on, Richie?
Key points, when they were made, and who made them. This way, I can get the context that I need to complete my action item. And of course, the Stream service uses the publicly available Microsoft Translation APIs, so I can get this in the language of my choice.
Oh my God.
So what you've seen us show you today are Teams and Cortana, two services leveraging the Intelligent Edge and Microsoft Graph. With hero experiences like these, we're able to turn any device into a productivity device, so I can move fluidly throughout my day, no matter where I am. Developers can leverage the Microsoft Graph to create systems of intelligence that will fundamentally change the future and culture of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. So it's a pretty amazing world you can create using this new platform of intelligent cloud and intelligent edge. Hopefully the three examples give you a feel for the depth and breadth of apps you could build. You can build these intelligent cloud apps. You can distribute them using intelligent
serverless
edge runtimes.
Serverless is where it's at, man.
Serverless is the dumbest name that we've come up with thus far in this industry.
Just wait till they come up with programmerless. I was listening to .NET Rocks yesterday, and it sounds like they're working on that one.
You can extend
these Azure Logic apps and everything, yeah, to where it'll just be, you know, you drag blocks on there, and anybody can do it, and then we're out of a job, man.
So it's a pretty awesome set of capabilities.
The only thing I gotta say to that is somebody has to write the bot, dude.
Well, that's what Microsoft employees and Google employees and Amazon employees will do, and then we're not those employees, so we're just SOL, man.
I have no problem making the transition. Survival of the fittest, man. You gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm gonna learn how to drag arrows around the screen.
Isn't that what we all learned how to do?
They will be the best damned arrows.
That was called web forms, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. I remember as an extremely junior developer getting frustrated when I had to drop out of drag and drop mode in web forms. So I was like, I was told this would be all drag and drop, and that I wouldn't have to write any HTML.
Yeah.
And then goes after it with this most malleable of resources that we have.
Richie, I think I met a couple BizTalk MVPs this past weekend up in Atlanta.
Let's roll the video of one such developer.
Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Right, I'm going to try and replicate this here. We're off to a great start. I tend to kind of just avoid doing sketching and writing now because it's not really worth it if you get something like that. Anything you could do that would just make my hand do what I want it to do and to be able to sign my name would be an incredible thing.
How do we even just begin to help her overcome this particular symptom of her tremors and helping her be able to regain her writing ability, her drawing ability?
So what I'm doing is I'm making a very rough prototype, and what this board does is I can connect into it through these wires, these tiny coin cell motors. So these motors will vibrate.
I personally think that what this is doing is it's short-circuiting whatever feedback loop there is between the brain and the hand that's causing the tremors. So the idea is if you are distracted by the vibration, are you able to write better? I don't know. I don't know.
It's affecting something. I don't quite know what's happening.
I'm on to something, right? I'm on to something.
my God. It makes me forget that I have a tremor. I've drawn one of them for a long time. I've actually just written my name for like the first time in ages.
I can't believe it.
Mum, it's called the Emma.
Oh, brilliant.
It's got my name on it. Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Emma and Hyan. Thank you so much, Emma and Hyan, for being here, sharing your story, and inspiring all of us, and showing, I believe, what that opportunity and responsibility that we all have as developers to build that common ground with our fellow human beings, to have that impact. Thank you so much again for being here, inspiring us, and I hope that this is something that we as developers can take forward with the choices we make. Thank you all very, very much, and thank you again.
Are they Microsoft employees too or no? Because I remember last time they had this gentleman that he was blind. He was a blind developer and he wrote code to, you know, help him. See, this is what we've been waiting for. No offense to Satya, of course.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Build. You know, Satya just demonstrated
Scott Pagoo for president, man.
Opportunities that we as developers all have today, and the amazing impact that we can have on people's lives. Now, I'm not going to go deeper into the intelligent cloud platform that we're building here at Microsoft and talk about the platforms and tools that we're building to enable you to take advantage of and build amazing solutions. You know, one of the defining aspects of cloud computing is really the ability to innovate and release new technology faster and at greater scale than ever before. You know, the set of new technology that's coming out, things like IoT, AI, microservices, serverless computing, and more, is all happening right now, thanks in large part due to cloud computing. And you know, it's an incredibly exciting time to be a developer, and the opportunities to explore new approaches and new technology.
Well, maybe we're about to see some Azure functions,
you know, at
Richie.
the same time, you know, I also recognize that while all this stuff is amazingly cool, it can also be just a little overwhelming. You know, I hear this concern a lot from a lot of the conversations I have with developers around the world. You know, the expectation to know all these new technologies and to be up to date with them all the time can leave you feeling sometimes like you're falling behind. Similarly, the expectations that your companies now have on you to be able to quickly deliver breakthrough experiences with all this new technology.
I want to make stuff that won't get hacked, don't we all?
In a lot of cases now, you know, your companies are now betting on you to really deliver new digital
That's
experiences
impossible.
That don't just run the business, but really transform the business and drive new revenue streams. And at the same time, you know, there's a constant worry that sometimes some of the apps that you build might be hacked.
See you later, Richie.
You now need to be careful, not just about the security, but also while simultaneously trying to learn
See you,
the
buddy.
tech and deliver these breakthrough experiences. And needless to say, all of this isn't easy. And it's really with this understanding that shapes how we build and design and deliver Azure. You know, every day my team works to make Azure a powerful enterprise-grade cloud service. But the more important thing that we're working on is really to build Azure to help guide your success. You know, having great technology and lots of features is necessary. But not
You know what they say at Ninja Turtles, right?
It's really about how those features
Wise man does not. Wise man doesn't pay full price for late pizza.
deliver on this. You know,
But unfortunately, I'm pretty sure you already paid for the pizza.
your needs. You know, by making cutting-edge technology approachable to every developer.
Yep.
And doing the heavy lifting to really ensure that Azure uniquely meets the enterprise scenarios that you require. You know, Satya spoke about responsibility and trust quite a bit this morning when he was talking about technology. You know, trust is a core value of everything we do at Microsoft, and specifically with Azure. And we now lead the industry in our work on security, compliance, privacy, and responsibility. And in everything that we deliver, we've really tried to design the features that we build to drive results. This means having an end-to-end experience across our platform services, our management tools, our development tools, that really provide the most productive developer experience possible and really enables you to build amazing solutions that can truly transform your businesses. What I'd like to do to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like and how all these pieces fit together is invite Scott Hanselman on stage now to show off a demo of the combination of Azure and our Visual Studio family of tools in action, and to really highlight the end-to-end experience.
It's time for us to fanboy out, man.
Oh my God, it's Sky!
Hi, friends.
Hi, Scott.
You've heard how Azure is delivering innovation that's been customized for your
Scott's
needs,
wearing red,
designed for results,
but not a polo.
all inside of the trusted cloud. And one of the ways that we do this is through our management stack and the dev tools to give you the things that will guide you to success. Now, here I am in the Azure portal. You've probably seen this many times before and you're familiar with it. But you can customize it, and I've customized it here. I've built on top of this management stack by pinning
Azure portal
information from all over
built
Azure.
with
I've pulled
Knockout
in an
today, but one of the PMs on the Azure portal team is presenting at OSCON next week about Aurelia.
Compute information,
oh, very cool.
all inside of my customizable dashboard that I can then share with other people on my team. One of the things that's exciting about this, though, is to understand why this is working. It's because of all those
I talked to him on Twitter yesterday.
Programmatic APIs that Azure exposes to you, the end user. Each one of these is coming from a different Azure resource and presenting its information in an easy to understand and customizable way. That's an amazing UI experience for both developers and DevOps people, but we've also put a huge investment into our CLI, into our command line interface. And we thought, what better way to showcase that than to announce today the inclusion of the Azure Cloud Shell inside of the Azure portal.
That's nice.
This is a real bash shell with PowerShell coming soon. I can type top just to prove it to you if you don't believe me.
Spun up
and
container
what's
or
great
something.
about this is that I've got a persistent cloud drive. That means that these things on my drive are there and available to me everywhere. Included in the Azure Cloud Shell is the Azure CLI, pre-installed, pre-logged in, pre-set up with your credentials and your information. So I can immediately type something like Azure VM list and explore that rich API. And here I got JSON, got back some JSON. Maybe JSON's not what I want, so I'll type Azure VM list, and I'll change the output to a table. And because it's a real container-based system with a real bash shell talking to real Unix, I can go and grep for something. This is using a great open source tool called Xterm.js to experience all of this in the browser. I've left nothing. I have not installed anything on my machine, and I am immediately able to go
Xterm.js.
directly from here.
Yeah, they definitely build on the shoulders of others nowadays through open source. They don't try to. Well, they don't always try to have that not invented here complex.
So let's just hit enter and make 1,000 virtual machines. And then while that is firing off, just because I want you to really, really believe me, I'll run Vim. And since I don't know how to exit Vim, I'm going to just have to reboot Azure completely to get out of Vim. So now we're going to close the Cloud Shell. And I will go
Scott
and
has a
click
T-shirt
on my
that says,
resources in the corner
Vim,
here.
I just can't quit you.
And those 1,000 virtual machines are coming up in a virtual machine scale.
I actually kind of like them, to be honest with you. I don't spend a lot of time.
I think my plan is to go with Emacs using Evil mode.
Yeah, Emacs is an operating system as far as I'm concerned.
I know, that's the best part.
You can replace Windows with
very
Emacs.
little. I edit text very little.
Shell inside of Azure pre-configured for me. But I'm a remote worker. I'm always mobile. Wouldn't it be nice if I could monitor and deal with those virtual machines on the go? So another great announcement today is the Azure mobile app on iPhone and Android. I can go in here and look at my web application. I can see my charts and graphs. I can start and stop it. But when you have something great like peanut butter and something great like chocolate, you've got to combine both of them. So you put the Cloud Shell in the mobile app. So now
That is very cool.
I'm with my family at Chili's and I SSH into production.
That is
and
ridiculous.
I know that non-technical spouse will appreciate my attention to detail there at the with the family. There's no way that that will affect my relationships at all. So I can
That is actually pretty interesting.
Azure, but, you know, I noticed
Android and iOS
when I
app to
logged
manage
in,
the cloud.
I saw that there was an error here in my application map that was making me a little uncomfortable. I saw that my availability
That's
wasn't
pretty
very
cool.
high.
I probably wouldn't use that on a phone. I'd probably use that more on a tablet.
On the server side.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and look at the full application.
Because I can only imagine typing really long command line,
application
you know,
insights.
commands inside of
This
a
gives you this
phone.
great
Like, could be a
experience
little
that
annoying.
shows you
Yeah.
all of your dependencies. So you can see that my web application depends on this API, and it looks like we've got a out-of-range exception and a number of them. So we've received a large number of exceptions. I'm going to go ahead and click on
Microsoft's
those
always been good at
exceptions
building
and take a
fully
look
fleshed out
where
examples.
They happened, when they happened, how
Yeah.
they happened. This is going to automatically create a debug snapshot. The intelligent cloud has been watching what's happening, and it's intelligently sampling. There's been hundreds of errors, but it's picked the best ones, like a burst mode on your phone, picking the one that makes you look best. And here it's got a debug snapshot that I can then open up. I'm on production, though. This is running in production on Azure. So
I bet you that Azure mobile app is built with Xamarin
Visual
too.
Studio that we know and love, and I want to call your attention to the
That'd
upper
be interesting
left-hand corner
to
here.
find out. I mean, because
Visual
Azure, they
Studio
like
is
HTML,
debugging an
so it
application
might not
running
be.
in Azure.
It
And
might
I want
be
to point out that
using
the URL
some
is not localhost.
Cordova?
HTML.
What we're
Yeah,
doing here is
Cordova
we're
or
enabling safe debugging
something.
with
I doubt
production
React
data.
Native.
The intelligent snapshots
Who knows?
are seeing the errors happen
Let's see what the
without
Twitters say.
affecting my users in production.
Yep, according to James Montemagno, Azure mobile app built with Xamarin.
Also give
Okay.
hints.
Well, then
If
I
the
was wrong.
automatic
Boom,
snapshots
there we
aren't
go.
enough, I could say
Just
I'm
saw it.
suspicious of this and that line, and then I can start and not make a break point like we do when we do local debugging, but a snap point that is going to tell Azure when that line gets run, grab a dump for me. And I'm going to go ahead and say start collection. We're in production still. I'm going to go and just do the things that one does in production. And you'll notice in the center there, in that diagnostic session, I am automatically getting dumps that I can then visit. I can go and say view snapshot. Attached to that, without affecting production, I am looking at the data that I need to. In the debugger that I love to use, I've got the call stack, I've got the objects.
Yeah, the stuff that they've been doing with diagnostics is pretty cool.
Those bugs that you just can't find unless they happen in production, and that is now integrated with the intelligent cloud of Azure and Visual Studio.
Yeah, dude, between, you know, the monitoring, application insights, just the diagnostic stuff they've been doing in ASP.NET Core. Like, look at that. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
When he made the change, and there's the failed requests both locally, because I can then continue my debug session locally, or see which exceptions happen, and then analyze the impact of those changes. It's all fantastic and integrated in Visual Studio. So this is Visual Studio on Windows. What about our wonderful...
I wonder if they're going to make that sample available like they did the last one.
Let's switch over to our Mac.
Hopefully. Here we go. Seeing this craziness on a Mac.
Here is,
so that you
Visual
can use it,
Studio
man.
For the Mac, and I'm running that application.
I could use both.
Studio for Mac, based on
Yeah,
the
but
Xamarin
natively.
technologies, I can say File, New Solution, pick a native app, and you'll notice so I can pick my target platforms like Android and iOS, and there's a button.
I actually just installed that.
Add ASP.NET Core Web API project.
And you're gonna have to update it after
automatically
today.
Giving me that .NET backend that would feed my
Was that?
native application.
You're gonna have to update it after
I've
today.
got a great experience for adding.
No, they updated this morning.
bringing
Stable
libraries
release.
Oh, okay.
from NuGet,
Cool.
all inside of my IDE, and even better, I can right-click and say Publish to Azure after I've fixed that bug. It talks
Oh, really?
to
Cool.
Azure App Service,
Can I do that?
loads those services up. I can
Right-click,
pick one,
Publish to Azure.
or
I don't
even
see that.
create an app service directly from inside of Visual Studio.
Oh
for
boy.
Mac. I wanna go ahead and
Surprise
publish
Where's that?
news
my
during
fix
Jacob's
over to staging.
OSCON talk
That'll pop up
on
here in the corner.
TypeScript.
We're going to go and build that
at-
.NET application.
yeah, at OSCON.
Launch it,
Just
and I
tweeted
am
out a
now
minute,
published to
44 seconds
Azure,
ago.
And I'm running that application in
I just
Visual
retweeted
Studio for Mac.
for my
and there we
millions of
go.
followers.
And what's even more exciting about this, and what I am very proud to announce, is the general availability and the release of whoosh, Visual Studio for Mac.
It's so funny that TechCrunch broke this news before they did.
You can go and download that right now. Have a wonderful time doing mobile.
Well,
apps,
I mean,
web
if
apps,
they
and
put
Unity apps and
the
mobile apps are
download
so
out there,
fantastic. I'm very
that's
excited about it. So all
it's
of
available.
these tools
Yeah, I
sit on
suppose.
top of that trusted cloud. So let's talk about trust for a second and switch back over to the Azure portal. If I have 1,000 virtual machines in the cloud, that can be a little overwhelming, and I want to make sure that those things are secure. I can go into the Azure Security Center and look at all of the different things I have from compute, networking, my web applications, and look at specific recommendations that Azure has as it calls into that management stack and explores what my application's doing. And I can see I should maybe add a next generation firewall, possibly put disk encryption on some of my virtual machines. And I made 1,000 VMs, but I'm a little concerned that maybe one is being attacked. Security incident detected. Apparently Guthrie is in the back with the mobile app attacking my virtual machine. So I need to go and take care of that. Now, as you see here, we've got these amazing, innovative tools for management, for development, and they're going to make you not just productive, but they're going to get you results.
Oh, cool. Looks like Julie already downloaded the app.
We welcome every developer, every language, and every application, and we're going to guide you to success on the Azure cloud. Thank you.
So Scott gave you a look at the end-to-end developer experience that you get when you build for Azure, and really showed off a number of the great enhancements that we're shipping this week. We have a whole bunch more, but he just kind of showed, I think, a nice sampling of these. In particular, we're really excited to announce that the Azure Cloud Shell is now available to use. And this gives you a fantastic way to manage all your Azure resources, not just from a CLI, but a CLI directly inside a browser, so you don't even need to install anything locally. We also have the Azure Mobile Portal available for you to download and start using on your phone. And with the Visual Studio Snapshot debugging support, this now really enables you to debug production apps without impacting users. And we're incredibly excited about the general availability release of VS for Mac. Every customer that has Visual Studio today is now licensed for both the existing IDE you have as well as for Visual Studio on the Mac. And this gives you now the ability to develop with a single code base, develop on multiple platforms, and you can now target both mobile and cloud, as well as .NET Core and ASP.NET Core, all within the IDE you love. And including, as you saw Scott show off, with the Visual Studio for Mac support, is for the first time Azure tooling support built in directly with that, enabling you to publish all of that to the cloud. So the focus
It is at least another hour. This is usually 2.5 hours.
Trust and results is leading to tremendous adoption of Azure right now. 90% of the largest 500 companies in the world are now running their businesses using the Microsoft Cloud. And these are just a handful of some of the customers running on Azure today. What I want to do is let's go ahead and watch a video of a few of them talking about the success they're seeing with Azure.
Microsoft Azure gives us key cloud-based infrastructure that we need. We made a big decision to break down our existing platform, which was one big, large, monolithic lump of software, into a microservice architecture.
This Black Friday, we served 167 million requests in the 24 hours. Average page response times came down by about half a second. That's what you're looking for in a new platform.
Azure provides the glue that brings together the data from our internal on-premise systems and join that with information held in the cloud. We use Azure Application Services and also Azure SQL Database to provide the data resources to the application. To achieve single sign-in, we have federated across from Azure Active Directory to our Oracle Access Management.
And that was fantastic. That was the equivalent of putting a very old car on the moon.
We wanted to make it really easy for our customers to get meaning out of their data. The industrial Internet of Things is different only in the fact that our customers have very stringent requirements about how data moves. We want one place to egress that data that we can lock down. The advantage of it being Azure is IoT Hubs makes it very easy to get that data in. Power BI makes it very easy to visualize that data once it's there.
It allows us to put a data scientist in a box.
Microsoft helped us achieve our digital transformation. It's put us over the top. Geico's been growing leaps and bounds, and we have not had any issues whatsoever from a capacity perspective because of the on-demand capability and scalability of Azure. We can handle the volume. We're like, bring it on. We want more.
So you can use Azure for infrastructure and just take advantage of it for base compute, storage, and virtual machines. But you can also take advantage of a coherent set of highly engineered services to build your apps even faster. And what I'm going to do for the rest of this keynote is walk through a couple of these key areas and talk about some of the announcements this week that we're doing to make you even more successful with them. Let's start by talking about data. Data is a core part of every app and experience being built today. And the couple of things that
Yeah, it looks like that same component is what they use inside of Visual Studio Code for the terminal.
And you want to be able to keep using it as you move to the cloud. And then secondly, as you start to move to use that database in the cloud, you'd really like to have a more efficient experience than just running it inside a virtual machine. You don't want to have to manually configure things like high availability. You'd rather not have to manually take care of backups. You want to be able to easily scale up and scale down your databases with zero app downtime. Let's talk about how we're making these things easy with Azure. Last month we announced our new SQL Server 2017 release. SQL Server 2017 is the fastest, most secure, and most intelligent database on the planet, and now provides ultimate flexibility. And we're releasing SQL 2017 simultaneously on Windows Server, on Linux, as well as Docker-based systems. And it really delivers unparalleled performance with our new adaptive query processing engine, making it the fastest release of SQL Server ever. And we're also, with this release, now building in machine learning capabilities and allowing you to do in-memory operations with it. This enables you now to use machine learning models built directly in R and Python and run them inside the database, making your apps more intelligent than ever. Now, one of the things that makes SQL Server unique is that it's the only data platform out there that's available both on premises and as a fully managed service in the cloud using Azure. And what this means is that you can now take advantage of all of that SQL Server functionality everywhere and get the best possible experience when using it as a fully managed experience in the cloud. You can now stand up a new SQL database in Azure within 60 seconds and have it be highly available, durable, secure, and fault tolerant without you having to configure anything. And Azure provides built-in point-in-time restore capabilities.
I've always gotten along with DBAs that I've worked with.
I've worked with some grumpy DBAs.
You've worked at some grumpy companies in general, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
And without having to worry about patching them or tuning any of the infrastructure manually, our SQL Database as a service offering takes care of all that for you. This week at Build, we're launching a new Azure data migration service that's going to make it even easier for you to migrate your existing databases to use our Azure SQL Database as a service offering. This data migration service really streamlines moving existing database systems to Azure and provides a fully automated workflow to do so, both for SQL Server instances as well as for non-Microsoft database platforms as well, including Oracle-based systems.
I'm going to log into the portal now.
Service, combined with additional capabilities that we're releasing this year with SQL Database, it's going to make it trivially easy to migrate literally every single SQL Server instance that you have to the cloud without having to make any database changes and without having to make any code changes within your application. And really have a seamless, near-zero downtime migration experience. DocuSign is a great example of one Azure customer taking advantage of this new capability. DocuSign is one of the leading enterprise SaaS providers today and supports more than 200 million users. And they've historically run their transaction processing systems within their own data centers. And we're very honored that today they're announcing that they've chosen Azure as their cloud platform to run their systems on going forward. Here's a video of them talking about this decision.
Hundreds of millions of people are DocuSign customers every day, transacting their most important business. For so many of our customers, their transactions are personal. We garner our customers' trust every day. Trust is the sort of thing that you earn in a lifetime and lose in an instant. We process 1.1 million transactions per day on our platform. Our transaction volume approximately doubles every year. What that means,
I can imagine. I signed tons of DocuSign documents.
Yeah, same here.
Best of what we do in our data center,
I like DocuSign. It makes things easy.
On flash storage.
Yeah. The last thing I want to hear is, hey, could you print this document and sign it and send it back to me? And I'm like, what?
With the
Yeah,
best of what the SQL
that's
team
what I
can bring
currently
to
do
it,
with
which
my
is a deep knowledge
consulting
of the product
agreements.
and help in managing this thing.
Maybe
at
I should
scale.
sign up
And
for
us, we
DocuSign.
found that Azure SQL
Well, actually, what I do now is I just use Adobe, and you can put your signature in Adobe. So anytime somebody sends me a document, I just open the PDF, drag and drop my signature, and then send it back.
Well, people can do that. I do send out PDFs.
Within a few seconds. It allows us to scale the business very
Hey,
quickly
Steve.
with very
Good to see
minimal
you finally joined.
The holy grail in a
Who's
move
Steve?
like this.
Steve Sanderson?
No, Steve Hartzog. He's a guy up in the Washington, D.C. area that's using Aurelia.
And at the other side of that, get the
helped him with some
incredible
presentation
value
stuff
that
he's
Azure
working on.
brings to the table. Our hope is that Azure becomes the way we do global expansion. We want to help customers.
I'd like
all
to
over
say,
the world
"Hey, pizza
bring their
guy."
paper processes into the digital world. To
It's like
allow
20
us
minutes
to be the
late.
accelerant to the
Why don't you just call him
to
on
move
the phone?
faster and faster into
Yeah, I
this
should do
digital
that.
transformation.
Just need to cut my own mic.
So a few minutes ago, I talked about how we know that developers love their particular database of choice and really want to keep using it as they move to the cloud. Some love SQL Server, some love MySQL, some love Postgres. And today, we're really excited to bring two new databases of service offerings to Azure. One provides MySQL as a service, and the other now provides Postgres as a service. Both of these are fully managed database offerings, just like our SQL database offering today. You can stand up a new MySQL or a Postgres database in Azure now using these in under 60 seconds. They have high availability and security built in, and we automatically patch and update them for you. And unlike other cloud providers, we enable you to elastically scale up or down the performance of these databases with zero application downtime. And best of all, they're 100% compatible with all existing MySQL and Postgres tools, drivers, and frameworks. And they're available for you to start using today. Now, as you use the cloud to reach new global users, your data also needs to scale. Scale in terms of the volume of data that you're managing, the different variety of data models that you want to represent inside your application, and above all, in terms of the performance that you need to achieve. And each next generation application really needs a strategy to handle all these different types of scenarios. And today, I'm also really excited to announce Azure Cosmos DB, which is the first globally distributed multi-model database service that delivers turnkey horizontal scale-out with guaranteed millisecond latency and uptime. And it's designed to explicitly enable these types of next-generation apps.
I wonder what the pricing on this is going to be. Or if they're going to maintain the same pricing that they had with DocumentDB.
With Cosmos DB, we've built a database service that does just that and can automatically replicate data to any Azure region around the world to give your users lightning-fast performance regardless of wherever they're accessing your application. Cosmos DB allows you to choose the data model that best fits your application use case and gives you the flexibility to access it using the API of your choice. So
They said that my pizza is on my way.
Of course they're going to say that.
All inside
They're supposed to say
Cosmos
that.
DB.
Yeah.
Cosmos DB automatically indexes.
I mean,
all
I'm
the
genuinely
data.
hungry.
It
I haven't
allows you
eaten
to
anything
use your
yet today.
favorite NoSQL APIs,
Except for a little bit of guacamole that I ate with a spoon.
DB, MongoDB, Gremlin, Azure Table Storage to query this data and work with it.
Oh, we're up to 10 people. Hey, everybody.
Allows you to elastically scale your storage and performance throughput across one or multiple Azure regions with zero application downtime. You can start with just a few gigabytes of data and scale up to store petabytes of it. And you can start processing with, say, just 100 transactions per second and scale up to millions of transactions per second with zero downtime.
Hey, what's up, Brian? What's going on?
With Cosmos DB, you pay only for the storage and the performance throughput that you actually use, which enables you to really change the economics of how you store data in the cloud.
So this sounds a lot like.
DB is the only database with comprehensive SLAs, not just.
So this is Cosmos. So this is what their new name for DocumentDB.
As well as performance.
So it's DocumentDB, and they added graph database support. So it's a key value store. It has documents, and it has you can do graph database models in it.
And what's great is, unlike any other service, you can actually monitor that.
No, so GraphQL is it's like GraphQL is more like OData. Like this is a database. Like so, this is how the information is stored.
Okay.
That enables you to build just amazing.
So this would be similar to like Neo4j, for instance, like which is a database.
Who's running entirely on Azure today.
We'll have to do a live stream where you teach me about graph databases.
Oh, I know nothing about graph databases.
Well, great. We'll give you a week.
Okay. GraphDB's in a week.
If you want to see Cecil teach me about graph databases in a week, say so in the live chat.
E-commerce is probably the most exciting game in town these days. Jet.com is a mass market e-commerce
This
site.
is the only stream that works.
Nice, that's awesome.
We carry it.
Our approach is really around
Glad we can make that happen for you, man.
consumer. Jet came out of the gate day one with really massive scale and massive growth. Data for Jet is scale.
Microsoft Azure.
I think Jet got bought by Walmart, didn't they?
Because it scales with us.
One of the amazing things about the Azure platform is it allowed us to go from not having a single line of code to having a fully functional e-commerce site in about 12 months. We've made our biggest bet on Cosmos DB. We're moving into the GPU world, machine learning, AI, personalization, recommendations, all the way that data surfaces to the consumer. It's really what drives a killer customer experience at Jet. E-commerce is going to be a $1 trillion business in the next 5 to 10 years.
We bring our whole personalities into the experience. It's fun, it's witty, and it's very human.
You name it, we're doing it
Sharp.
at Jet.
I've bought some stuff from Jet. It's really,
So
it's
Jet's
nice.
been
You
using
get like
Cosmos
discounts
DB
for
this past year,
buying
and now
in
runs
bulk
their
and stuff.
Jet.com solution
I heard it's
across
like
3
Costco
regions
online. Is it that true? Or?
Yeah. We bought a lot of
This enables them to deliver
stuff for
amazingly
Krista for her
fast
keto
performance
that
to
was
their users
prohibitively
and
expensive
enables a highly
locally, but
durable
through
and
Jet
available
by
application.
buying it, and it was non-perishable,
Jet's
so we
seen
bought
some
it in
really just
bulk
incredible business growth
and
this past year.
saved some
You know,
good
Black
money on
Friday
it.
is the biggest shopping day of the year here in the United States, and Jet scaled their Cosmos DB deployment to support 100 trillion transactions that day. And they were able to achieve single-digit latency, millisecond digit latency at the 99th percentile, something they could not have achieved with any other data service offering. Now, not only is Cosmos DB incredibly powerful, it's also incredibly approachable from a developer perspective. And what we'd like to do is invite Rima, who's one of the architects of Cosmos DB, on stage to show off how you can build solutions with it. Here's Rima.
Azure Cosmos DB, our globally distributed multi-model database service. Now imagine you want to build a planet-scale intelligent app with users worldwide. It has to be super fast, it has to be incredibly elastic, and it has to be highly available all over the world. In this demo, I'll show you how easy it is to do it with Azure Cosmos DB. So we've taken Marvel Universe dataset, which represents a complex network of comic characters, and built a simple web app around it, where fans from all over the world can come to this app, click on their favorite character, and ask them any type of question they want, as if they're interacting with a real human being. For instance, Iron Man, who are your friends? And get the response back. Or I can ask even more sophisticated question. For instance, who are your enemies that work for Hydra? And get the response back. Now, behind the scenes, the data is stored as a globally distributed graph inside Azure Cosmos DB. And we provide a near real-time response latency to all of the questions that I'm asking that actually get translated into graph queries that get submitted to Cosmos DB.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm
Build such an app. In fact, how do you even create
checking out this Tony Stark app they got going
spans
on
the
here.
entire world? It's very easy. Let me show you how. So you come to Azure Portal, you click New, you go to Databases, then you pick Azure Cosmos.
I'm actually following along with her right now.
Andrew, you get to 100 trillion transactions in a day by taking data samples on every single grain of sand.
Resource group, but what's really interesting here is a new set of APIs that you could choose from. If you want to use SQL, you can pick DocumentDB API. If you want to use Mongo, you can pick MongoDB API. And today we're announcing a public preview of 2 new APIs, Gremlin for Graph and Table API for premium table experience. Select the API, then the location where you want to start out, and then click.
So if they're putting table storage in there, does that mean that I don't have to create an Apple, what's that thing called? An Azure storage account for table storage?
Now,
I don't know.
applause?
I'm not the cloud guy.
Thank you.
See, even people on stage at Build ask for applause, Cecil, just like I did at the Orlando Code Camp.
That I showed you at the beginning. We can come to the Data Explorer and actually visualize it in the.
My question is, why does document DB
I
say
can actually click on
SQL
the
next to it?
nodes, see the connections between them. I can even specify
know.
a Gremlin query.
Steve says he
directly
saw
inside
document
Azure
DB in
portal
the
and
dropdown.
get the results in near real time.
Yeah, it
right
says
there
document
in the
DB
form of
SQL.
a subgraph. Now remember, this is not just a regular graph. This is a globally distributed graph. And in fact, the data is already distributed across 9 regions worldwide. So let's assume my app goes viral and I get a lot
I mean, it's
of
just a
sales
website,
in
right?
Asia.
You could look at a website in
All
it.
I need to do in order to add the new locations is just select the locations where I want my data to be, click Save, and that's it. The data gets seamlessly replicated into those regions.
You know, another reason too is the Mac never says Windows isn't installing updates when you're presenting.
Capability, which is very, very powerful. And at all of this time, my application continues to be highly
Really?
available
Wow, I've never
thanks to
seen that
the
one before.
multi-homing capability that Azure Cosmos DB provides. Now remember also,
Like every time I plug my Mac into something, it automatically goes into Do Not Disturb mode.
scale out of both of your storage and throughput. So my graph will be able to accommodate to the very bursty workloads worldwide. And in addition to that, I can answer any of my graph queries worldwide with less than 10 millisecond read latency guaranteed. Now, the key message here to remember, though, is that regardless of the data model, regardless of the API you're using, regardless of the data distribution or even the failures, we continue providing you with a single system image for all of these globally distributed resources worldwide, so that you developers can concentrate on your application, not on the database behind it. Now, another unique capability that Azure Cosmos DB provides is a set of 5 well-defined consistency models. Now, this is a fascinating area. When you're building an application with the data that is globally distributed across the world, you're facing a fundamental trade-off. Do you want your application to serve perfectly consistent data all across the world to all of your users, but at the price of the performance? Or do you want your application to be incredibly responsive, but at the price of serving sometimes the data that is not up to date? Most of the database systems force you to choose between these 2 extremes, known as strong consistency and eventual consistency. Now, the insight here is that most of the real-world applications and the use cases.
I think it's interesting that they've gotten all of this into a single service. I'm wondering if under the hood there's just
your
multiple
consistency and your ACID setup is just a checkbox
including
or a
3
radio button.
intermediate consistency levels, including bounded staleness.
I still remember going to back in 2008 when Azure first started, and they sent out a Microsoft evangelist to Tallahassee to pitch us on Azure. And the big thing they had back then was that you could swap between staging and production. But when you swapped, staging became production and vice versa.
After all, it's a service.
And
It's
I was
not
like,
just a software.
why would anyone do that? And to see where they started to where they are today with incredible capabilities is quite the journey.
Yeah, they've been doing a pretty good job.
Application developers really care about. These include
that first version, I looked at it and I said,
consistency and availability
this is
at the 99th
beyond
percentile
worthless.
worldwide. So let's see, what does the application code actually looks like when we interact with Cosmos DB? Our application is a simple Node.js app, and all we had to do was add a Gremlin package, and then I have a very simple function called generate Gremlin query that takes my questions to the superheroes and translates them into corresponding Gremlin queries. Because it's a Gremlin endpoint, any open source Gremlin client will work just as is. So there you have it, Azure Cosmos DB, Microsoft's globally distributed multi-model database service. Because we truly believe that your applications deserve a database that is out of this world. We're very excited to see the type of applications that you're going to build with Cosmos DB. With that, back to you, Scott. Thank you so much.
As Rio mentioned, we're incredibly excited to see the types of apps that you build with Azure Cosmos DB. All the capabilities that we've talked about this morning and that Rima demoed are now available for you to use today. And in fact, the Azure Cosmos DB service is now generally available for you to use in all regions across Azure. And because Cosmos DB is an evolution of our Document DB service, all of our existing Document DB customers have been automatically migrated and upgraded to take advantage of Cosmos DB. And you can now take advantage of all these additional capabilities with it, starting immediately. So we talked about data. Let's switch gears now and talk about something else that a lot of developers ask me about, which is how best to modernize your applications as you move them to the cloud. Specifically, a lot of companies and a lot of developers don't want to just lift and shift their apps to the cloud. They also want to take advantage of new technologies, things like containers, microservices, serverless-based computing, to make them cloud native. And to do so without having to gut and rewrite all of their code from scratch, which is something that, hey, we'd all love to do, but we usually don't have always the luxury in order to actually do it. Alaska Airlines is one of the many companies that's in the process of modernizing their systems as they move to the cloud and to make them cloud native. And they're doing that on Azure. Let's hear their story.
Alaska Airlines recently merged with Virgin America, and together we became the 5th largest airline in the United States. The e-commerce organization at Alaska Airlines has really 2 big goals. One is to continue to drive guest satisfaction. The other big goal is for us to be able to test and learn. We believe that any code that isn't in production is waste.
They're going away? Where are they going?
Unlocks a lot of possibilities in terms of how we're able to deploy. It allows us to iterate more rapidly. We're able to experiment with a lot of different things and find what works best to serve our guests and give them the best experience. Breaking down our systems into microservices has enabled us to start taking pieces that are good candidates and moving them up into the cloud.
We use Azure.
Oh, nice. No, I've never flown them.
Once those containers are running, that we can easily put new versions out, that they still run, and when our demands grow, that it grows with it. We also use the Visual Studio Team Services build pipeline to compile our code to make sure that it's working, run tests, and then package up our Docker images. We upload those Docker images to Azure Container Registry.
I think the biggest win for us recently was last Cyber Monday. It was hassle-free. We could scale up and down without any fear, and we were able to have completely uninterrupted service for our guests. We grow customer loyalty by providing an awesome e-commerce experience. By using Azure, we're able to get ideas out to market faster and to test and see how our guests experience them and see if they move the needle on our business objectives.
So let's talk about how developers like Alaska are doing that. And with Visual Studio 2017, we now have integrated Docker support that delivers a fantastic container-based development experience. You can now easily develop, run, debug, and test container-based solutions directly within the Visual Studio IDE. And our DevOps support with Visual Studio Team Services now makes it easy to stand up a CI/CD environment that can be used to automatically build and deploy any container-based solution. You can, of course, use all this support for what I call greenfield applications or new applications that have been specifically designed with a microservice-based architecture. And these greenfield apps can leverage, for example, the new .NET Core framework that we've released to build very lightweight microservice-based applications that can run on both Windows and Linux-based container systems. You can also leverage, though, all this new container support to also gracefully update your existing applications to be containerized as well. It doesn't require you to completely rewrite all your systems at once. In fact, you can take full existing .NET Framework apps, including ones explicitly written to use IIS, that use WCF and other native Windows components, and now easily contain
as soon as I learn how it works.
Docker and run them within Windows
You know what?
containers as well.
We could start working on it next week.
Service-based approach in every application and really start to get the agility and benefits that they provide, and then be able to continually tune and update your application with new capabilities after that. What I'd like to do is invite Maria on stage to show off how you can take an existing .NET application and easily modernize it with containers. Here's Maria.
Thank you, Scott.
Maria Nagaga.
Ah, I see her on
Wow,
Twitter
isn't
all the
this
time.
Exciting? As
Yeah,
Scott
she does a lot with
mentioned,
the educational
with Visual Studio and Azure,
stuff.
Yeah.
we're making it
Talks to a
easy
lot of
to build
schools and stuff like
amazing new applications and modernize your existing ones for this cloud-native architecture. Over here, I have an application that might look like some of the ones that you in the room are running on Windows today. I'm going to show you how you can easily containerize your application in Visual Studio by simply right-clicking on it and adding Docker support. Visual Studio then goes and generates a Docker file for us that immediately detects this as an .NET Framework application.
Yeah, but that's not new though. They showed that at Connect
IS and
like a couple months ago.
ASP.NET to run. And let's say you want to enable different services into your application. You can do that right here in your Docker file.
Right-click it.
Look, I've just enabled WCF. Now, since we've containerized our application, let's go ahead to make sure that it's running as we expected. Over here, I have a completely containerized version of my application. And I'm going to play around with it, and it's completely running locally on my machine. And I want to play around with it to see what's going to happen. OK, it looks like we've hit a breakpoint. The first breakpoint I've hit is in my CRM application, web application that is in a container on my left. And then when I hit continue, it goes to my web API, which is in a completely different container. Visual Studio now supports cross-container debugging. These are the experiences that you have become used to in Visual Studio, and we're just bringing them over to containers. And now my application is running
That's
as
pretty cool.
expected. So I'm feeling good about it, so I'm going to go ahead and put it into production.
Are any of you guys on the live stream playing with containers, doing anything with Docker?
Very focused on being continuous. And that's why now you can right-click on your solution and configure continuous delivery. Continuous delivery enables us to specify the Azure Container Registry where we want to push our containers. And we can also specify the type of host where we want our containers to run. And you have options. You can use app services, and we also have Kubernetes.
Did you get your money back?
Soon. And today, I'm excited to show you Service Fabric. In just a few clicks, we have configured Visual Studio Team Services to manage our build and release pipelines. In our build pipeline, it will compile our code, it will build our container, and it will push it to a network-close Azure Container Registry. And just in case you want to add additional tasks, you can do it right here in VSTS and pick one from the thousands that we have in the marketplace. In our release definition, you'll see in one step how we are telling Service Fabric to take our Docker Compose file and push it to Azure. And I have to say, Azure is the best place to host your containers. Over here, we have our application running in a 5-node Service Fabric cluster. You can see how many applications we have, both new and existing, running in this high-density, highly reliable environment. And because of the dependency isolation that we get with containers, we can make sure that our applications are running comfortably together without interfering with each other. Scott Hanselman earlier showed you how we can begin to get rich telemetry on how our applications are performing. And we're bringing the same experience to containers. You can see how our application is performing at the infrastructure level, to the container level, as well as in the application itself. And with the application map, you can see how all our different services are interconnected together. Visual Studio is the best place to debug and containerize your applications, and Azure is the best place to host them. Thank you, and back to you, Scott.
I have pizza.
So you saw how Maria was able to take an existing, full .NET framework application, one written years ago, and able to use Docker to containerize it, then set up a CI/CD build pipeline, and then use it to easily deploy inside Azure. And she used Service Fabric to run the containerized application. Service Fabric is an incredibly powerful microservices framework that we provide here at Microsoft that you can use. And we also build most of our services inside Azure on top of it, including Cosmos DB, including our SQL DB offering. And what's great about Service Fabric is it really enables you to take advantage of a microservices-based approach, and now natively supports Docker images, including the Docker Compose framework. This allows you to take the best of the Windows ecosystem and the best of the Linux ecosystem and use it together. And now you can take applications, including ones with existing code.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Update them to be a microservice-based architecture, add additional microservices, maybe with .NET Core or even with other different languages or frameworks, and run them all seamlessly inside a single cluster as part of it. I think this is really going to enable you to do some amazing things and build some amazing applications. What's great about Service Fabric is it runs both in Azure as well as on Azure Stack. And you can even stand it up on-premise.
Yeah, I think you need, if you want to run it without a VM and just run it native on the machine, kind of like what you would do with Linux, then you need Windows 2016. But if you just want to run it, with Docker for Windows or something like that,
we also enable you to build
I think you need, you just need to get Docker for Windows, and that should make it work.
For example, you can now use containers in Azure Web Apps and our Azure Batch service, which provide very optimized platform as a service offerings for web and scale-out processing scenarios. And with our Azure Container Service, we now enable you to build applications with every popular container orchestration framework out there, including Kubernetes, Mesos, and Docker Swarm-based systems. No other cloud provider gives you as much flexibility as Azure does when it comes to containers, and you can use all these great capabilities today. Now, as you look to modernize your applications and adopt a microservice-based architecture, one of the things that you'll probably want to start taking advantage of is serverless-based computing. A serverless approach allows you to execute code in an event-driven way, which can really help guide you to design your applications to scale better. And serverless computing can also, though, help you save money by enabling you to avoid having to pay for server resources that you might not be fully using. And Azure enables you to build robust serverless-based solutions now that can trigger off of literally hundreds of different event sources. So for example, you could write code to execute in response to an HTTP request, or an IoT event, as you saw earlier in Satya's keynote, or even something like a CRM record change in either Dynamics or Salesforce. Our Azure Function Service enables you to execute this on-demand serverless code, written in a wide variety of different languages, including C#, JavaScript, Java, and more. And with our new Visual Studio 2017 tooling support that we're releasing today, we now provide an incredibly rich way that you can develop Azure Function apps locally inside your IDE. This makes it incredibly easy to take advantage of serverless-based computing.
Let me know how that works out.
It gives you this type of end-to-end experience where you can develop, run, debug, and test entirely locally on your development machine.
I wouldn't be surprised.
We also now have CI/CD support for Azure Functions with both Visual Studio Team Services as well as GitHub-based backends. And our Azure Logic App service enables you not just to execute code, but also to execute now on-demand serverless workflows. And these workflows can use more than 100 built-in data and app connectors that we provide, enabling you to trigger serverless workflows from systems like Dynamics 365, Office 365, Salesforce, Adobe, SAP, and more, and securely process and route data across long-running processes and workflows and business logic. And these workflows can also include Azure Function apps, and giving you the really robust way that you can now marry both code and declarative workflows together and all run it in a serverless environment. We're really excited today that we're announcing a bunch of updates around serverless that you'll be able to start taking advantage of. This includes the great new Visual Studio 2017 tooling support for both Azure Functions as well as for Azure Logic Apps. And we're also releasing serverless computing support with Azure Application Insights. You saw Maria show off Azure Application Insights as part of containers. You saw Scott Hanselman show it earlier in the context of a web app. The nice thing with Azure Application Insights is you can span all types of apps inside Azure, written in all types of languages, and now have a single view across them. And we know that the lack of monitoring insight into serverless-based apps has been one of the things that developers, both using Azure but also other cloud platforms, have always said is really, really hard to monitor these systems. Now, with this new release today, we're making it incredibly easy for you now to get rich monitoring support across your apps, which is going to make developing and running them even easier. Domino's Pizza is a great customer of ours who's running their systems on Azure today.
See, that's who you should order your pizza from.
Our Azure serverless functionality, together with all the other Azure platform as a service capabilities we provide to really update and modernize their apps. Let's hear their story.
They were talking about Domino's.
Domino's main customer demographic consume technology on a daily basis. It's part of their life. They have very little tolerance for solutions that don't run well or don't run at all.
We moved to a platform as a service model. We can roll out changes to any region and environment very quickly and also provision new environments much faster. Serverless computing will be the next evolution for us from platform as a service.
It's really handy at moving our data around. We know what Azure Functions has infinite scale, so we can move as much data as we need.
We are using Azure Functions now in some components of our ordering system where a consumption model makes sense. You don't have to worry about scaling, provisioning. Those things are very easy with Functions. It's easy to deploy.
Yep.
You don't need to manage any of the underlying infrastructure for it. You don't need to configure scaling.
We only pay for that data that we in and those functions that we do use. We know that Azure is always going to be at the cutting edge of any cloud technology.
We can put the content closer to customers for a faster ordering experience.
Domino's is a company that never wants to be ordinary. We want to continue to develop and deploy meaningful tech, to continue to grow and expand the business, and we're willing to put our trust into Microsoft.
So we've been talking about some of the incredible capabilities that Azure provides. But I also hear from a lot of developers that there's scenarios where you just can't use the public cloud yet. And it's really that reality that compelled us to build Azure Stack. Azure Stack is an extension of Azure. Azure Stack provides a consistent cloud experience with the same management API, portal, and developer services available inside Azure. And it's a cloud that you can deploy and run literally anywhere. For example, with Azure Stack, you can now use the cloud for edge and disconnected scenarios. Carnival Cruise Lines is one of our early Azure Stack adopters. And Carnival's been using Azure now for several years and runs their fleet management software on Azure and has a large Azure data lake where they take all this data from their ships and perform analytics on top of it. They're big believers in the public cloud. The problem, though, they have is that sometimes they can't connect to the internet when their ships are out at sea. When you're in the middle of the Pacific and maybe there's a storm, it's not really good to have to rely on a satellite network link to connect to the internet to run something that's critical on the ship. And what's nice about Azure Stack is it now provides the ability for them to use Azure everywhere, not just when the ship's in port, but now when it's available out at sea. And now they're able to upgrade their onboard systems to be built and managed using Azure Stack and be able to use the same application logic, same set of core Azure services, even when running disconnected, and be able to build even better systems with it. The combination of Azure and Azure Stack also enables you to meet literally every regulatory need now. Azure today has more compliance certifications than any other cloud provider. We also now have 38 unique Azure data center regions around the world. For that perspective, that's more locations and countries than AWS and Google combined. This enables you to meet more data privacy and cloud residency requirements than any other public cloud solution. And yet, we also know that there continues to be scenarios where data and applications must still reside in a country that doesn't yet have a public cloud provider with a data center inside it.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's nothing there.
Is one of the largest professional services firms in the world. They're using Azure to run many of their applications, and being a trusted and secure cloud was the key reason why they chose Azure. The documents and data that E&Y store are amongst the most sensitive pieces of data in the world. The challenge that they've had has been how to use public cloud for all of their clients. There's certain countries in the world where there's legal requirements that company documents are not allowed to leave that country's soil. And in some of those cases, there are no public cloud providers currently operating in those countries. And the beauty of Azure Stack is it basically now gives EY the ability to write their application once and deploy it both in Azure and then run it in its own facilities with Azure Stack for those particular countries. And this gives them literally the ability to meet every regulatory requirement in every country in the world with a single code base. Let's hear their story.
There's an explosion in innovation, technology, the digitization of business. Markets can be exploded overnight in a positive way or a negative way. Our clients look to us to help them take advantage of the opportunity that is just blossoming all around the world. Trust is really central to our relationship with our customers. Our advisory, tax, assurance practices are all technology driven. Developers are central to delivering that value.
Azure and Azure Stack allows us to have a single point of development.
We develop one solution, and we can run that in public Azure or Azure Stack. The fact that we're always targeting the same set of services, we can provide the same set of SLAs to our customers. We use the same PowerShell tools that we use today with public Azure in order to stand up all the environments. The combination of virtual machine scale sets and load balancers, we can even spin up service fabric cluster. Seems pretty striking to me. That is something that puts developers in the driver's seat.
Azure Stack gives us the ability to put Azure in countries where Microsoft does not have a full Azure data center. We are building on the digital platform and satisfying data privacy and sovereignty regulations in 140 countries around the world.
The possibilities are endless in being able to move applications, revisions of applications, in country-specific applications for data sovereignty or custom use cases from one central location, one central code base.
Our vision is really to enable a better working world. Our charge is to make sure that the technology we build and deliver serves our clients and preserves the trust that they are putting in us to do the work.
And Azure Stack enables you to also begin modernizing your on-premises applications even before you move them to a public cloud environment. What we'd like to do to show off kind of how to use Azure Stack, how to build applications and what the experience is like, is invite Julia White on stage to give it a demo.
Thanks,
Here's
Scott.
Julia.
All right. Now let's take a look at Azure and Azure Stack working together to address that disconnected and edge scenario that Scott talked about. Now in this case, it's a shipping company, Northwind Traders, and they're using Azure
Northwind, man, they are always on the cutting edge of everything.
Locally on the ship. Now,
that company's IT budget must be unlimited.
Azure, but monitoring the ship across the
You know, I'm old school, man. I kind of like Contoso. I'm a Contoso kind of guy.
Contoso's falling behind.
You can see here
They're
in Azure,
falling
there's a number of
behind.
different services. In this case,
I don't see them on Azure.
Receive millions of transactions coming off of each of those ships. They're also using this web app service to do the live monitoring of the ships.
You know what? They're probably on Amazon. That's exactly where they are.
This is the global operations system. Let me switch over to Azure Stack.
They're running Lambda functions instead in
on
Contoso.
the ship locally. So I'm switching over here to Azure Stack, and you notice that. Let me zoom in so you can see that, Azure Stack.
I'm going to mute my mic, but let you guys watch me eat this cookie.
And that's the point. Azure Stack is an extension of Azure. The portal, the APIs, they're all consistent. This means you can leverage the same investments in people skills, in processes, and the application across Azure and Azure Stack. Now, Azure Stack has both IaaS as well as platform-based services, so I can use those same services in Azure in that global system as well as what's being used here local on the ship system. So you see here I have that same web app service that I'm using in Azure Stack that I was also using in Azure in that global system. Now again, this is a disconnected and edge scenario, and so while at sea, sometimes bandwidth can be limited or super expensive. So it's a perfect scenario for serverless compute with Azure Functions. You see here I'm using Azure Functions to actually parse data real time on the ship to decide what stays local and what goes up to my global operating system and when it goes as well. And I can even go in and I can monitor all the events hitting my serverless compute system here right from my Azure Stack system, just like I would from Azure. Again, that same serverless computing experience. So let me flip over to Visual Studio and look at how this hybrid application was built. And again, because the APIs are consistent across Azure and Azure Stack, I have the same developer experience as well. You see here in Visual Studio, I have that global system running as here, and then I also have that local system that's running on the ship, and there, in fact, is those function service that I talked about, parsing the ship data. Now, I can update my app here, maybe add a new feature perhaps, and then go ahead and deploy it directly to Azure or Azure Stack. I can even integrate it with my CI/CD pipeline to do an automated deployment and test targeting both Azure and Azure Stack. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and manually just kick off this deployment. Go over to my application here, deploy. Now, thanks to Azure Active Directory, it actually pulls my subscriptions across Azure as well as Azure Stack. So I've opened that up, zoom in, and you can see there, in fact, are my Azure subscriptions as well as my Azure Stack subscription running that app locally on the ship. So go ahead and deploy that out to Azure Stack. Deploy. Now, I just, right here from Visual Studio, push that app out to my Azure Stack deployment running on the ship. Azure Stack is truly an extension of Azure, enabling you to design, to develop, and operate your applications wherever you're.
I'm actually expecting them to announce SQL Server Management Studio for cross-platform scenarios. So having it run on Linux and Mac.
So you saw from Julia there.
I'm surprised they haven't shown that yet.
How easy it is to build Azure Stack-based systems. And
Well, they say the same thing about the database, right? And they just announced it today. So if the database runs on Linux, shouldn't Management Studio be able to run on Linux?
Hybrid cloud consistency story. You know, with Azure, your hybrid cloud runs both really as one holistic system and can span identity, data, application platform, and infrastructure. This really takes the complexity out of running a hybrid cloud and really enables you to start taking advantage of cloud immediately, again, for pretty much every scenario. So we've talked a lot about technology this morning. Let's switch gears now and talk about how Azure helps grow your business. Now, I know a lot of software companies attending Build this week are delivering their software now as a service or looking to do so soon. And many great companies here are already running their solutions already on Azure. And this slide here just highlights a small sampling of some of the SaaS providers running on Azure, really across a wide range of different industries and verticals. Now, last year, Adobe chose Azure as their preferred cloud partner to deliver their SaaS-based offerings now going forward.
So is Azure how they deliver their Creative Cloud?
CTO of Adobe to join me on stage to talk a little bit about their
Adobe?
experience and
I think so, yeah.
decision. Please welcome
Their
Abed.
incredibly poorly named cloud subscription
Thank you, Scott.
that has nothing to do with the cloud.
Morning, Bill.
Just like serverless has
Excited to
makes you
talk
think
a
like
little
there's
bit
no
about
servers.
the great
Oh,
partnership we have,
no, there's,
between
see,
Adobe
it's all a
and
lie,
Microsoft.
man. There are no
Great to have you here.
servers in
I mean,
serverless.
can you talk us
What
a
happens
little
is
bit about
there's
Adobe and the
a
enterprise SaaS
guy
solutions that
up
you're
in
delivering?
Seattle that whenever a
Probably
request
most
comes
people in
in,
this room
he
probably
actually
still
runs
think
the
of
code for
Adobe
you on his
as the
desktop
Photoshop and
and then
PDF company.
copy pastes it.
But over the last few years,
That's why it's
we have been
scalable.
on a
They can
really
hire more
exciting
people.
transformation of our business
So you copy and
and
paste the
have
result
become
and
the
sends it
process
back
one
to
of
you
the
because there's no
leading
server to run it
SaaS
on.
companies.
And so
With
it's
a very
scalable. You can
common
always
and
buy
shared
more
vision
desktops and
with
laptops.
Microsoft of a cloud-first, mobile-first world powered by intelligence.
On a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
With our SaaS solutions, we are completely reimagining the entire creative process, future of documents, and perhaps
I think the thing is we know that we're horrible at naming things, but they don't try to make it any better though. It's like, oh, we just suck at naming things, and they just continue to come up with bad names.
with content, data, and intelligence at its core.
That's pretty awesome. So, you know, the Adobe clouds are really focused on content and data, as you mentioned, at the core. Can you talk about the solutions and some of the unique things that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, I mean, for us, really at the heart of our product strategy and a business strategy is this notion that blending the art of content with science of data and doing so at massive cloud scale with a real focus on the real-time intelligence. You heard a lot about that this morning, and we share a lot of the same vision. Whether it's hundreds of millions of images and photos and videos that process through Creative Cloud, or billions of documents and PDF files that flow through Document Cloud, and frankly, in our Experience Cloud, which is our enterprise-focused offering, today, globally, we are measuring something on the order of 90+ trillion analytic transactions for some of the biggest companies on the planet. Now, when you think about these services at this scale, it requires a platform that's engineered from the ground up for massive scale, rich portfolio of services, and an integrated tools ecosystem. For me personally, as CTO of Adobe, one of the biggest reasons I'm excited about our deep bet on Azure is it gives us a platform for innovation unlike any other. So specifically, as Scott and team have been working with us, we are building a lot of these next generation solutions with deep bet on Azure capabilities like Azure Data Lake, data factory, the work we are doing with common data models, and even all the way to rich integration with visualization capabilities like Microsoft Power BI.
So we've talked about your core platform services. Can you also talk a little bit about sort of what it's like to partner with Microsoft to really reach enterprise customers at scale, and the work that we're doing together to enable that?
Yeah, I mean, I think frankly, with a lot of you hear these partnerships with press releases and marketing releases. This partnership is very different for us for a couple of reasons. First, it's actually a real deep engineering level partnership. The amount of work that goes on between Redmond and San Jose, between the teams, is just unbelievable. Over the last 6 months, we have already delivered 3 core joint solutions working with Microsoft Teams. First, Adobe Campaign Orchestration is now integrated with Dynamics CRM. Second, some of the biggest brands on the planet can now use Adobe's content management product, Experience Manager, natively on Azure. And last but not the least, Adobe Analytics, which is our enterprise analytics offering, is now fully integrated with Power BI. Now, as we look at customers and see their interest in these solutions, the other thing I hear loud and clear from some of the biggest enterprise customers is their extreme focus on global scale and availability, focus on security, trust, privacy, as well as increasing demands around data sovereignty, privacy, and compliance. So for us, frankly, at Adobe, beyond just feature function and checklist of which services, this is actually one of the unique things about Azure that gives us a major competitive advantage when we talk to enterprise customers in mission-critical environments. And then for me personally, last but not the least, as I look to the future and even announcements this morning, the collaboration with Microsoft that I'm excited about is the work we are starting to do in connecting our intelligence capabilities across solutions and really power new experiences with intelligence at their core.
That's awesome. So, as one of the world's largest software,
I'll be excited if you said that everybody gets Adobe software with your MSDN subscription. That would be interesting.
Benefits that developers can expect.
Yeah, I mean, for us, when we thought about our needs as a company and one of the large SaaS ISVs, going beyond just our own internal cloud platform needs, frankly, for us, Microsoft partnership was also strategic because of the broad developer ecosystem reach and increasingly the millions and hundreds of millions of end users in the Office ecosystem that we can reach through our SaaS solutions. Now, the second part
nice.
is for our own business, we wanted a solution that
Have you been doing anything with your MVP
developers and ISVs
powers,
and
or
partners, and Microsoft gives us that extensibility play in a very credible way. So the work we are starting to do with your teams around defining common data models and a common industry taxonomy for a modern enterprise is really exciting, and frankly unlocks a whole new vista of kind of opportunities, capabilities for developers in this room to innovate jointly on these platforms.
That's awesome. Well, so what's next and what's coming now?
I think for us, really, I mean, these are exciting times, and there are a lot of developers or ISVs in the room. This is an exciting time where each of you can really reimagine and deliver completely new radical experiences and deliver those to your customers. For us at Adobe, this really meant taking a long view and choosing a cloud platform that goes well beyond just a commodity compute and storage and price points. For us, a cloud platform of the future has to not only be best in class for developers, it has to pass that litmus test, but it really has to also solve mission-critical enterprise needs of global customers, and frankly, go all the way up to innovation for the business users. So when we looked at Azure and more broadly the Microsoft ecosystem, for us, that was a very clear strategic choice. And frankly, some of the joint customer dialogues that are going on probably tell me that we are off to a really good start. And so for me, I'm super excited about this partnership in terms of what it means today and the kind of work we can do together going forward in future. So thanks for the partnership.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being here, Bill.
Thanks, guys.
As Abe mentioned, SaaS companies love Azure, not just because of the core cloud and data platform capabilities it provides, not just because of the trust, compliance, security, and enterprise needs that it meets, They also like it because it really provides this opportunity to take their SaaS solution and offer it to enterprise business users that are already using the Microsoft Cloud and enable them to deeply integrate it in ways that makes their own solution even more compelling. Now, one of the data points we shared recently in our most recent financial earnings call is that we now have 100 million monthly active enterprise users using Office 365. And Azure provides the easiest way for you to integrate with Office 365, reach those 100 million users, and grow your business. You know, every Office 365 customer uses Azure Active Directory as their identity system. And using Azure Active Directory, we've made it incredibly easy for you to securely integrate your SaaS apps into both the rich Office 365 app experiences as well as the online experiences as well. We've also integrated many of our Microsoft apps and experiences to use the Microsoft Graph. You heard Satya talk and do some demos of that earlier, and you'll see more throughout the conference. And this Microsoft Graph is all built on top of Azure Active Directory. And it provides a REST-based API that developers can use to securely integrate data and functionality across Office 365, Dynamics 365, Azure, and Windows. And in addition to enabling your SaaS apps to be integrated into the Office 365 ones, we're also making it easy for the Office 365 apps, things like Power BI and Power Apps and Flow, to securely integrate with your SaaS apps and enable rich integration scenarios to make your SaaS apps and SaaS data even more valuable to
Yeah, then there would be no builds. Like, they'd cancel the
And
conference.
with our new
It's canceled.
Azure App Store
Come back next week.
Marketplace, we make it incredibly easy for all of our Office 365 and Dynamics 365 enterprise users to be able to find and discover your applications and try them out. With just a few clicks, an end user can securely integrate and try out your SaaS app together with all the existing solutions that they've already deployed in the Microsoft Cloud. And when one of our enterprise customers tries out the SaaS application using AppSource, one of the nice things we do is actually automatically push a lead through an API into your CRM system, regardless of whether it's a Dynamics or even a Salesforce CRM system, so that you can immediately follow up directly with that customer and try to close that business. And that is a great way to kind of accelerate your go-to-market in a tremendous way, and enables Microsoft to deliver to you potentially thousands of super high-quality leads of enterprise users to every single month for your SaaS capability. And for SaaS vendors who run their systems on Azure and qualify for our co-sell program, we're even now going one step further. And as part of that lead that we pass to you, we'll actually connect you with the Microsoft salesperson that manages that particular enterprise account. And we'll even now pay the Microsoft salesperson every time you close a SaaS deal with one of their customers. So they're incredibly incented to help you every step of the way with those conversations with those enterprise users. Now, the opportunity for all of us to build applications that can change.
Didn't you know that's your job as a MVP salesman?
You know, each of you now has access to cloud resources that were unimaginable just a few years ago. And I say this every year, but it's always true. It's never been a better time to be a developer. And you know, all of us at Microsoft are really looking forward to seeing what you build. What I want to do now is hand it over to Harry, who's going to basically walk you through now that I've established the core Azure platform, how you can take advantage of AI in even richer ways and infuse it through all your apps to make them even smarter. Thanks a bunch and have a great build.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Thank you for listening to Satya, Scott, and now me. Let me begin my talk by taking you back to the start of the day. Satya talked about this new app pattern, this new worldview of the intelligent edge and the intelligent cloud. Central to this is artificial intelligence, and this is what I'm going to talk to you about now. I have been in the field of AI for a long time. It's amazing to see AI now becoming more a reality. I hope many of you by now know Microsoft Cognitive Services, but I'm not sure if any of you were in that small breakout room 2 years ago when we launched.
Don't you know that Windows is dead?
Services.
Didn't you get that one?
Only 4 APIs.
They took it back around the shed and shot it.
Big breakout room last year when we launched with 22 APIs. And this year, apparently, I have been promoted by Satya to the main stage. But seriously, the time for AI
Oh, he
is
didn't
now.
get his applause.
At Microsoft, we believe AI is about
Richie,
amplifying
1743 would have been a
human
bad time to be a software
This
developer.
is our vision for AI at Microsoft. You may ask, why now? Well, there are three big forces converging that are making AI possible. The first, big compute, especially how you can take advantage of huge computing power in the cloud. Second, powerful algorithms with amazing progress in deep learning and the deep reinforcement learning. Number three, massive amount of data that fuels powerful AI applications.
So while this guy's talking,
is
Cecil and
in
I are
a
thinking about
very, very
doing
unique
these types of live streams more
help
often.
you
Not
take
necessarily.
advantage
Yeah, it
of
would have been a
these
great time to be a
forces
trapper,
because of
a
three
bear fighter.
important and unique
Thinking about doing
assets
these
we
types of
provide
live
for
streams
you.
more often, though not necessarily
First,
with a live video,
Microsoft
but
You have
just
heard all
watching
about the power
a
of the cloud
you know,
at a
Channel 9
global
video
scale
or some
from
type of
Scott and others.
maybe a training video of some
That's
sort that's
Microsoft
freely
Azure.
available or that we can get permission from the author
Second,
for us to watch.
we provide breakthrough AI
Would you
algorithms
guys be interested
coming
in
from
watching
Microsoft
those sorts of
research.
things? Obviously, streaming through YouTube
Microsoft
Live
Cloud
so that
plus
they
AI
are archived and
brings
able to be
all
watched
this
later
innovation
on.
to you as a
I don't know.
developer.
Raise your live
And
chat
the third,
hand if you would be
what
interested
about the data?
in us doing that sort of thing.
To have great AI, you need great data. In particular, Microsoft Graph.
And now we
gives
wait
you
for the live
access
stream.
to the most important data.
So,
for
Dev
your
Intersection,
business. That's your work data.
if they publish stuff
All
and if
in
I
a
could get
trusted
the people in charge of Dev Intersection to
where you
allow
own
it,
your data and you have full
sure.
control of it.
The only caveat
me
there would
tell
be
you
I
about
definitely
some
wouldn't
of
be
the
watching any
innovations we
Angular
have been
topics
driving.
because I might get myself in trouble.
Let me start with my own area of computer
Hey Richie,
vision.
if you want to join, we can
You
bring
have
you
all
in. I
heard
just got to
about
figure
the
out
deep
how
neural
to
nets making
put the
great
proper
progress
ugly
in image
filter
recognition
on the
for object
Skype
segmentation.
feed.
2 years ago at the Microsoft Research, we created a new approach to recognize images with
All
a
right, well,
very
sounds
deep
like
neural network architecture.
people that are in
called
here
ResNet.
would like that idea. So Cecil, I say
With
we maybe try
152 layers,
to do that and then
we won the first place in all the three
start doing
categories.
those every week
We
or two.
participate in
Sure, we can talk about it. I think what people get out of this is, you know, you're not in the office watching it by yourself, right? You know, you have some people that you can kind of interact with and get some feedback.
We're also making great progress.
Yeah,
in
that's
speech.
what we need to do. We need to set up
6 months
a
ago,
green screen behind
we
us so
became
that we
the
can put our
first
heads
to reach human
on
parity
the talk.
in speech recognition with the
We'll
famous
just put the cameras
switchboard
behind
data set.
ourselves,
That is a collection of
like
phone call data.
MST3K.
And we beat the human error
Sure,
rate
we could do that.
5.9%, and we continue to improve. While the research is inspiring, what's more exciting to me is what you can do with these exciting technologies. Microsoft
I even put on a nice
is
shirt for
platform
everybody
company.
today
Developers
that you can't really
will
see.
always be at the heart of everything we do. Let me show you how we are bringing AI.
And I am actually not wearing any pants. Not that anybody cares about that.
A great
Just
example is
letting it-
cognitive services
letting it breathe free.
that I have been working on.
Hey man, I like to,
Since we launched
and I believe in
2
freedom
years
for everybody.
ago, more than
It's the island away,
500,000
right?
developers
Exactly.
have been using our services.
Let it breathe.
Thank you. Cognitive services provides the broadest.
So I haven't played a lot with this cognitive services stuff, but I think we can build a lot of cool
services
things
for
with it.
AI in the industry.
Yeah, it's not really in my
Today, we are
field.
releasing additional services,
What are they releasing?
taking us to a total of 29.
You should put together an Aurelia sample that uses cognitive services and Azure functions.
Search,
Well,
and
definitely
would be
Azure
interesting.
functions. I'm thinking about implementing
This includes
Azure functions as
the
part
new
of
video
my
indexer
Aurelia
service.
training so that I have like an
It
actual
actually
backend.
combines a lot
Yeah.
of features from speech to face to vision to
Richie does a lot of
semantic.
Azure functions. You can get him on that.
And we are
Yeah.
opening our cognitive
Maybe
services
we have
labs for you
we
as
can
well.
watch
So we can
a
try
Azure
a lot of
functions
new
talk with
preview
Richie on here.
services. We'll start with some fun.
Yeah, no, Brian, no .NET Core stuff, no .NET stuff at all yet.
Yeah,
Actually,
Hanselman was on. He showed off debugging
We have
production
been talking to many of you
dumps
developers
in Azure from
understanding
Visual Studio
what you
2017.
like and what you want. Our big learning is
Yeah, and they showed some
you really like,
Docker debugging stuff, but that's about
for
it.
example, Luis, our custom language understanding tool.
I'm guessing based on how long this stream has been going on, probably not going to talk about any .NET stuff today.
No, I expect that tomorrow. They're probably trying to get their messaging together after the crap that happened this weekend with them choosing to target .NET Standard 2.0
Yeah,
as the next
I saw that.
version of ASP.NET Core.
Yeah, I saw that.
AI applications. Let's take a look at
That was a whole
how an
brouhaha.
indie game developer, human
Yeah, but I mean, we knew it was coming.
applying this
I
custom
mean,
services.
you know, I'm not going to get mad about
Let's
stuff that you expect.
That's never stopped most people.
How often
Well, you know,
are you
I don't have that kind of time to waste.
when the dawn of a new medium comes
That's what
out?
Twitter's for, man.
Starship Commander is a choose-your-own-adventure VR narrative
Starship
that uses natural language processing, so you can actually have a real conversation with the characters.
What's my mission?
Must be something pretty important.
We're a science fiction game. We come up with new words. No off-the-shelf software could let us put in custom words.
Who are the
I want this game.
We started using Microsoft Cognitive Services to power the backend.
Is that an Oculus Rift that you gotta buy one of those too?
Into Starship Commander, I had tears in my eyes
get
when
some
I
new
was
clients.
playing it because it's like, oh my god, this is
Andrew,
it. This is the
need
experience.
to pick that contract back up with you.
You can essentially put your script in there, and it knows, oh, these are the ways that people are going to talk, and these are the phrases that they're going to say. And then the second thing was the intent detection. With Lewis,
I know who doesn't
you
have time for
basically
games.
give it a
The
couple
University of
statements,
Miami football
you
team.
crunch it, you start typing in your own statements, and it's shockingly scary how good it picks up even stuff that you didn't put in there. There's a wide open playing field. No one's written the rules yet. I've never seen an opportunity like this.
I mean, as a kid, I dreamed of having something like this, where I could like place
Isn't that
Captain
fantastic?
Kirk. So. The
couldn't even
Microsoft
understand
headset,
some
the only
of
one I
those
know of is
names
the
and terms in the video game,
HoloLens,
but
which is
cognitive services
$3,000.
can. So our advancements
Yeah, I think the Oculus Rift is like 600 a little bit.
concept
Yeah.
I call the conversational AI.
But you have to have one heck
to
of
me,
a computer
that's the
to
most
drive it.
exciting thing
Yeah.
about AI now. It builds on what Satya talked about last year at the Build, conversation as a platform. It represents the next user interface paradigm shift. Just like many years ago, when we moved from
Yeah, let me look up and see exactly how much the HoloLens costs, because I believe it was 3,000.
for people to interact with computers. But we still had to learn a lot about the computers, even with GUI. With conversational AI,
Yeah, he just
we
got home from
moved
school.
from a world where we have had to learn about the computers
I'm sure he'd love to.
to a new world where computers understand the humans and AI speaks human.
He actually should be going to take a nap in a little bit, so I'm not gonna get him too excited.
Conversational AI applications.
Right.
Let me invite Cornelia up on stage.
Okay, so this is $5,000
Thank you, Harry. And hello,
for the
everybody.
HoloLens. The commercial edition is 5,000, and then the developer edition is $3,000.
And he showed you Lewis, custom speech service, and he also mentioned custom vision service. Together, these three services make it really easy for you to build your own custom AI models across speech understanding, language and text, and now image understanding. And they're really easy to use. You just need 3 steps. 1, bring your own training data, usually a few dozen of samples for training. 2, click a button to actually train your model within minutes. And 3, you get your model automatically hosted behind the REST API that you can bake within your apps. Today, I will spend some more time introducing Custom Vision Service, which is our new cognitive service now available on Azure. What it does is it allows you to build your own image recognition systems, and it's pretty flexible. It can work across identifying retail objects, to food, to even landmarks. And to show you how it works, I actually have this little app today that I'm going to show you. And what it does is it takes a picture of a plant or of a leaf, and it tries to identify what it is. And yes, we went outside and plucked a rhododendron.
All right, so it identifies that it is a rhododendron from that one picture that I gave it. And the cool thing about this is that I didn't have to use any deep learning frameworks. I didn't have to find thousands of training images, and I didn't have to wait for hours for my model to train. It was actually pretty easy to do because of custom vision service. And all I had to do is really upload a few dozen images to a photo album, which is what I have here, and you can see all of the plants that I've trained it over. Then I clicked on this big green button, and within minutes, I got my own endpoint hosted that I used in the app that I showed you earlier. You can follow these same steps to build your own model. Now, cool, once you've built it, how do you actually keep it learning? How do you keep it improving over time as your app sees more and more images from your users? Well, we got you covered with this thing we call active learning. And what active learning does is it looks at all of the images that may flood your app, and it smartly selects only those that will add the most gain to your classifier. So what it tells you is, say we pick this image here. It's actually an image of a tea camellia, but it only has about 52% confidence that you got it right, which is not very high. So it surfaces it to you. You can go and reinforce that, yes, it is a tea camellia, save, retrain, and then you get your model smarter. This, in a nutshell, is custom vision. It's available today, so go and try it out at customvision.ai. Take it for a spin. We can wait to see what you guys build with this guy. All right. Customization is one of the ways in which we are improving cognitive services. Another way is by allowing you to use our state-of-the-art machine learned models in a highly parallelized fashion. So what that means is if you have, say, petabytes and petabytes of images, you can actually use our text understanding or image understanding models to get those images all analyzed. And if you're familiar with SQL, then you can understand these 20 lines or so of useQL code that I'm showing you here. And what this code does, it uses our landmark understanding model across a load of images that I uploaded in Azure Data Lake, and it's able to find all the ones that contain Mount Fuji in it. Because of Azure Data Lake, it runs within minutes, finishes executing, and then you get your whole images analyzed. Now, we ship these tools and services because we want to ensure that you can bake AI wherever you need it, whether it's a little consumer app like what I showed you earlier with my Leaf classifier, or whether it's a massive data pipeline in Azure Data Lake. But that's not where we stop. We want to ensure that you can reach your users wherever they may be, whatever channels they may use. That's why we talk a lot and we spend a lot of time focusing on conversations. And that's why we shipped Bot Framework last year with 9 channels. This year, in Bot Framework, we're introducing 3 additional channels where you can reach your users: Cortana Skills, Skype for Business, and Bing. And with Bing, we want to ensure that bot integration and bot discovery are as seamless as possible. And what I'm showing you here is an experience that's live today. You can go try it out. For those from out of town, I highly recommend this restaurant. So if you want to know if this restaurant has veggie dishes, so let's ask it. You just ask that question in line. You don't have to dig through apps or dig through web pages to find out if there are any vegetarian dishes. It's as easy as that.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I use Bing every single day. On purpose. That is my default homepage goes to Bing.
In Bot Framework, and your users may use a bunch of those, or they may use a lot more other
I don't use
apps
Edge.
or platforms or operating systems. So it's a lot of UX code for you to think of, and we don't want you to have to rewrite it over and over again to have it handled natively in your apps. Now, that's why today we're
Yeah, I usually use Bing because I get Bing points. And I buy stuff with
It's
them.
already available on GitHub, so you can go try it out. What Adaptive Cards does is it allows you to build your JSON once, write code once, and then have it displayed over these multiple apps, platforms, or operating systems. And let me show you actually how it works. This is a sample JSON that I have here, and it uses basic building blocks like text blocks or images or buttons. And then the framework is the one that allows me to display it natively in things like Microsoft Teams. This is how the same JSON would look like on Skype. And this is that same JSON, say, on Slack, via bot framework. This is adaptive cards, also available for you to use today and take it for a spin.
Yeah, right now I have 137,000 Bing
Able to
points.
fit today, and there's a lot more that I didn't get to show you, which is why I highly encourage you to go to our
So
sessions
what can I get
later
with this
today,
right now? Let me go
or
to
check
offers.
more
So I can get
information out on Microsoft.com/AI. We can't wait to see how you
What?
guys infuse AI into your apps. And with that, I'll give it back to Harry. Thank you.
let's see. Let's see. I can get gift cards. I can get a year of Xbox Live. I could get actually 2 years of Xbox Live probably. What else? What else can I get out of this? I can get Hulu, Amazon gift cards, Starbucks. All just for searching on Bing. I love Bing. Gives me free stuff.
In addition to new cognitive services,
Well, are you playing music?
also releasing updates to the bot framework.
Am I playing music?
Such as
Nope.
adaptive cards you have seen, and new controls and the channels for the analytics and the payments. We're also releasing
it was
a
the
new
bathroom
service
at your house.
in Azure
Your microphone's
to train
very
your
sensitive.
deep neural nets efficiently.
It is.
And it supports all your favorites in the deep learning framework.
Yeah,
Whether
we
you
should have a
like
Bing sponsored
toolkit,
giveaway thanks to
or
all
TensorFlow,
of these
or Caffe, or
points you
others.
have.
So I hope you have
We'll do
seen
that. We will
how
steal some of
Azure
Cecil's
plus
Bing
AI
points during
provides a
tomorrow's live chat, so you'll have to
comprehensive
come back and
platform
figure out
with
how we're going to
everything
do
you
that,
need
how we're going to force him to.
infuse AI into your
And
applications.
he's got hundreds of thousands of them.
We give you
And those are worth at
a
least
powerful
17
data
fruit bucks.
platform with integrated AI, like we have seen in the demo, using Azure Data Lake. We give you great computing infrastructure with Azure CPUs and GPUs.
Oh, I don't watch The Office.
To train and deploy your algorithms. And with
I have limited time for television watching. I have work to do.
with cognitive services, bot services, and the great tools like Azure Machine Learning.
You know, I'll live vicariously through you. Let's do that.
Applications.
Unless
Let's see
you
a
have.
real example from a partner, AirDoc. They have been using AI and Azure to improve healthcare.
Eduvids.
Let's roll the video.
In China, there are 100 million people with diabetes. Diabetic retinopathy, or DR, is one of the most common complications.
You should write a blog post about it.
Patients will go blind without proper treatment.
AdDoc DR is very useful.
Yeah, you should
and
probably
very
write a blog
easy
post
to
about it.
use. Just upload the photos, and it will give the diagnosis.
We leverage our deep learning technologies on Azure with a set of open source tools like
Yeah, so
Linux,
Richie's saying that
training deep learning models in Azure is very easy.
most of the time we can't hear you.
The training feature in cognitive toolkits, we can shorten the training time so we can iterate our algorithm quickly.
Azure provides N24 servers, which is GPU server we use a lot. Azure commercially availability ensures our data security as well as our mission critical service level to our customers. Every day is a great day because we are saving people's lives.
It's really great to see how
So when you say your microphone is turned off, you're talking about it's turned off in the stream, so you can talk to me and
it's
then.
really great to see how developers around the world are using AI.
Right. So what he's saying is that he hears me talking to you, and he doesn't hear you
Also
replying.
using AI to redefine Microsoft. From Windows to Xbox, from Bing to Office, every product in Microsoft is being transformed with AI. Let me use an example of PowerPoint. And let me invite
Yeah, he
Ina
said he
on
still
stage
can't hear you.
to show you how PowerPoint is using cognitive services to create a new experience. Ina.
Thank you, Harry. Hello, Build. I'm a proud engineer in the Office team, and
Can you hear me
artificial
now?
intelligence is pervasive in Microsoft Office. You can see it with
So can you hear me,
Researcher and
Cecil?
Editor in Word,
Yeah.
or maybe Clutter and
All right.
Focus Inbox in Outlook.
Let's see if other people can
in
hear me.
Excel, we've got Scriptlab and dynamic mapping. And how about Designer and Quick Starter in PowerPoint?
Yeah, Andrew says he can't hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So now that I've unplugged the micro, tell him, ask him if they can hear me now. That I've unplugged and replugged in the microphone.
I am pleased to announce
Wait.
and
So the
show
yep
for the
is you can hear me now.
the presentation translator add-in for
Someone say yes, I can hear you now.
It uses the same custom speech.
Oh yeah. I've got it muxing down to to left and right. So
when I launch it,
I think the only way I would be able to change that.
Select my language, Spanish, and the language I want to display the subtitles, English.
Let me look into it real quick. Hold on.
Before the presentation
Oh,
starts,
who's this young
a
lady?
few slides will be added to help attendees get transcriptions on their own device and language. Harry, please join as an attendee on this iPhone's translator app.
All right.
You will be asked to provide your name and the language you want to use.
So I look at
I can.
Okay, great. So
Attendees can also use this
so they
in the
can't
same
hear me.
language to help meet accessibility needs. Okay, Harry. Are you in?
I think so.
Check here.
Yeah, but I'm not paying attention to you.
Now, I'm going to unmute my site to demonstrate the real-time translation capabilities between the presentation and the attendee devices. I want you to take a look at the translations at the bottom of the slides. La inteligencia artificial puede eliminar las barreras lingüísticas entre los presentadores y los asistentes. Lo que estás viendo es real y una gran demostración de la inteligencia artificial.
Wow. I can even read here in Chinese.
The PowerPoint translator adding custom trains the model based on my voice and my slides, using the power of the custom speech service. And we're also making audience participation easier.
Can you guys hear me now? And do I sound like a robot?
I can use it to unmute the audience and let them send questions and comments into the presentation. Harry, do you want to say something on your end in Mandarin?
Well, I have to try my rusty Chinese. Okay. 人工智能太棒了。
Let's try again.
All right, so hopefully it's fixed now. Tomorrow I'll just put a mono feed out and not
There
you go. How is that for an impressive demonstration of bringing Office to life with AI?
Yeah, Richie, we'll work on the left-right channel stuff tomorrow. I would have to stop the stream to switch it to mono.
Visit aka.ms/PowerPoint translator. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you, Ina. This is great. You should really try the translator demo and this app. It's really
But I feel like this keynote's almost over, so I really don't see a need to stop the stream right now.
Another key product being infused with AI is Cortana. Satya talked already earlier about what we are trying to achieve with Cortana. We want Cortana to be your personal intelligent assistant that goes wherever you go, at work, at home, at the gym, and on the go. Cortana continues to expand its reach across platforms and devices. In addition to our partnership with Harman Kardon, today we are excited to announce that 2 new partners, Intel and HP, have signed on to help develop Cortana-enabled devices. As developers, you will now have the power to build Cortana skills using the Skill Kit, which utilizes Microsoft Bob framework. I cannot wait.
Did he say Microsoft Bob framework?
You will build for
Bot framework.
100
Oh,
million
I wish it was the
Cortana
Bob
users.
framework.
Finally, let me talk about the data. Data is the magic that enables AI. Microsoft offers you an unmatched data graph, including work knowledge from Office 365, Dynamics, and even your devices, and the world knowledge in Bing and LinkedIn. When you combine that Microsoft data graph with your own business data and your understanding about your users, you are finally ready to build incredible AI applications. Let's take a look at how this comes together with one of our partners, Tact. Tact is a company on a mission.
I am going to try to
make
add in the
enterprise
YouTube
software
chat
more
feed.
human-friendly by transforming the daily sales experience. let me welcome Ina to come on to the stage again to show you what they do. Ina.
Thank you, Harry. Artificial intelligence is more powerful when it is applied to valuable data through the Microsoft Graph, which I have been working on. Let's take a look at how Tact is elevating their solution with Microsoft and how easy it is for developers. Here, I'm going to show you how Tact, who offers a smart assistant for CRM that helps users interact with line of business applications in a more natural way. In the video, you saw how Tact is adding Cortana support into their solution. They're also working to building conversational AI on top of the bot framework to help connect with Dynamics, Bing, LinkedIn, and Office 365. Let me show you. Here, Tact has used the Bing Knowledge Graph to identify an account alert and send a proactive message to my account team. Because Tact is connected to Office 365, it can leverage the Microsoft Graph to find for information about any previous interactions with this new executive. The Microsoft Graph provides a single API endpoint for accessing the data and intelligence in the Microsoft Cloud. And it looks like we've done business with her before, because Tact, through the Microsoft Graph, found 10 references
You know you have a
to
big
her
black
across
square that says
conversations,
configure the
files,
source.
Yeah, I'm
calls,
working
and
on that.
meetings. Tact even performs sentiment analysis on these sources using the power of the
I mean, can you
text
move it
analytics
from in front of
service
the...
with the data
Working
that
on
it
that.
gets from the graph and giving me back a nice indication of the previous interactions with her. Just imagine the possibilities. Now, let's try to find her on LinkedIn. Behind the scenes, Tact will query LinkedIn for people that match my request and give me the ability to see their profiles and connect with them. I'm going to ask Tact to send a connection with the right person. Tact is also deeply
I don't know. You think
integrated
that's
with
better or
Dynamics
worse?
365 and has automatically created a lead for this new executive. The confirmation includes a deep link that I can use without leaving Microsoft Teams.
I think that's
Tact
fine.
does this by creating a custom tab that aggregates all the valuable data about this account. Tact can also use the Microsoft Graph to add a reminder to my calendar. I'll select top collaborators, and the Microsoft Graph will use intelligence to find the people that I collaborate with the most in this particular deal. If
Apparently I
we take a look
broke
at
it.
my calendar, you can see I'm pretty busy.
Made it clear.
But Tact, through the Microsoft Graph, will find
Don't know
meeting
how I did that. I'm just going to get rid of it.
all attendees and schedule the reminder.
I'll play with that for tomorrow.
It's going to take a second. There it goes. Tact
We
with
haven't
Microsoft
dropped a
Graph
frame in
updated my
like
calendar in
an
no
hour and a
time. You
half.
can see the red one right there. Now let's take a look at some code.
So our stream's doing quite well now.
Do you recall that I showed how Tact uses the Microsoft Graph to find
What is this?
conversations where Julia was mentioned, and then perform sentiment analysis on the response? You can do this with two simple HTTP requests while maintaining the secure and consistent access to your data. First, we're going to call the Microsoft Graph on the group's endpoint to search for conversations where Julia was mentioned.
Oh, it's
You
JavaScript.
can do this in
Got
any
it.
language. Here I'm using Node.js and TypeScript. Also, you will notice a token in the header. This is how Azure Active Directory secures your data in the Microsoft Cloud. The response is simple JSON of the matching conversations that I can pass into the text analytics service. That call is also very simple. All I do is pass in the JSON data and get back the sentiment score. This is how
Oh, apparently
easy
Rob
it is to
Eisenberg from the
integrate
Aurelia
AI
team
with a vast amount of data
helped
in Office
with
365.
embedding Azure
To
Cloud
learn
Shell into the
more
Microsoft
about
Docs site.
integrating with Office 365
Oh, very cool.
He just
through the
tweeted about that a
Microsoft
few minutes
Graph,
ago.
Join me this afternoon in the Microsoft Graph breakout session and visit graph.microsoft.com.
Let me see if I can't get him on the...
Thank you, Ina. I'm very excited about what Tact is doing. They really demonstrate everything about the data that I have been talking about, and it shows how AI can truly transform your business. AI
I think it's
is
about
going
time for Sachi to come
disrupt
back out.
every
Close
single
this thing
business
out.
app.
It's about time for this thing to be over, man.
An
This is...
industry vertical, like a banking, retail, or healthcare, or a horizontal business process like sales, marketing, or customer support. Our goal as a company is to help you embrace AI and apply it to your business. I love this quote from Alan Kay, as I truly believe that the best way to invent the future is, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. Go to Microsoft.com.
Seeing if I can't get Rob to join us for a few minutes.
Oh, cool.
I'd like to close my presentation with a video that I think demonstrates the transformative power of Microsoft AI to amplify human ingenuity. We are very privileged to have this opportunity to work with all of you. We invite you to get on the AI journey together with us. Thank you, and enjoy the conference and the Seattle
Okay, well, that was the end of it. Let's, if everybody will hang out for a few more minutes while this video plays, I might be able to get Rob to join me for a minute in the Skype call. All right, well, that was the end of it. I'm trying to figure out how to get Cecil back to...
Back to what?
Let's see here. Okay, good. So we are seeing you there. Just for whatever reason, because I pulled up my contacts list. There, made you a little bit bigger. So what'd you guys think? Will you come watch the keynote tomorrow? It'll be a little bit, should be fewer bumps in the road, so I hope you guys will join us. Maybe we'll get the chat to show up on screen. Put a lot of work into this, so hope that you like it and we can move forward with this and do some cool stuff moving forward with live streaming. So
yeah, I was expecting some more dev stuff today, but I guess maybe tomorrow we'll see some more stuff for Xamarin, a little bit more for .NET Core stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully. How do I get rid of my... How do I just go to call view?
What are you trying to do?
I've got my Skype contacts list here on the left, and so it's causing you to have boxes around you. So, oh boy, we could do a live stream of the Channel 9, but I think we all have work to do for the day.
Yeah, I definitely have work to do. Time to check out.
All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and let me check the chat room one last time. So it looks like we'll be seeing people tomorrow, and Steve, hopefully I can get Rob on to do a bit of a stream in or maybe a little bit for tomorrow, and he can talk about that. Cecil, I'm gonna maybe we'll try to get up and have the live stream going about 30 minutes early. Maybe we can have some people in here. I'll let you guys know. Watch my Twitter. I'll tweet the link out. Hopefully, I'll be able to tweet out a link hours before that will actually work. You'll probably see me, if you follow me on YouTube, you'll probably see me testing that out a little bit this afternoon so that I can make sure that stuff works. And yeah. So anyways, this is Cecil and I saying goodbye, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace out.